Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on a fine and mysterious evening. Because it is a mysterious evening because we have Mystery Eon in the house, and we've got Spooky and none other than the Cambion, the Stephen Cambion, joining us later on in the show. But without further ado, my partner in crime, he runs the Sunday and I run the Friday. But sometimes, you know, we may change days. Who knows? If we're going out, we'll have to. Lee, my lad,
How green am I all of a sudden?
you've gone green and I've gone red.
Oh, I don't like that at all. At all.
Do you want me to kick? Should I kick you out? Oh, you can kick yourself out.
No,
Change
it's,
your
all
colour.
right, it's fine.
Oh, that matches me.
oh.
That matches me.
That's bare. How are we doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Good.
Look, Ian, we're going to bring you on in just a moment. But people, everybody, Lee's show is every single Sunday. Do not miss a Sunday show. Well, it's not every single Sunday. Sometimes you might be going out and getting drunk and all that.
On
Jazz, so
certain given Sundays.
certain given Sundays, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why it works. We are the dream team. Like, share, and subscribe.
Absolutely.
If you're here right now, if you want to support us, you can go and head on to the Patreon in the link in the description. You could become a channel member. I do make little Tic Tacs and at some point I am going to do some nipples because we always love the nipples. So we may make some nipple characters as well. So yes.
I've heard that every time somebody supports the show, an orphan gets adopted.
And I may get a nipple out.
Mhm.
But without further ado, Ian,
Oh.
Mysterion,
Hey kids, how are you?
Mr. Eon,
UK crew. Look at this.
and you're rocking
Yeah.
the Never a Straight Answer T-shirt. I like it.
I like that.
Does it say that underneath? Never a Straight Answer.
No, it's actually the shuttle program.
No.
Oh, right.
It is. There you are.
It's beautiful. That I like it. It's like one of those
T-shirt. T-shirt club. T-shirt.
It
club.
reminds
Throw these
me-
things at you.
It
I'm not
reminds me. Of,
sure. I'm not sure that Alien Addict shouldn't have a never a straight answer T-shirt.
I know.
I think maybe
Oh,
we
yeah.
need one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It
I'll throw you
reminds
the
me.
link.
It does remind me of those. My dad had a. Can't remember what car it was, but I remember looking at the manual for it. And it looks like the plans for the car, how they used to do it in them old big blue books for cars in the UK. I don't know if they did the same thing in the States.
Are you talking about Haynes manuals?
Is that what it was? Yes. I'll just say yes and agree. No idea.
That had all the sectional cutaways of the vehicles, so that you could do technical
That is
work
the
at
one.
home. Yeah,
Exactly the
called
one.
the Haynes
Loved it.
manual. Yeah,
Loved it. Now, Dad didn't like it when I coloured it in, though.
right.
It just shows that
I'm going to drop a load of links for T-shirts on you, Ollie. Be prepared.
Oh.
and
And
it just shows that we lived in a time at one point where people fix things.
Yeah,
People used to
I
fix
still do.
things.
yeah. It's
Oh,
a
by
reason
the
for
way-
keeping things.
I've worked out. So before the show started, people, I did have some sort of red stuff right here on my red can that looked like dried up ketchup. I think it was chili sauce because I can taste it now.
Well, I'm glad you said you don't keep tomato ketchup in the fridge because only psychopaths keep tomato ketchup in the fridge.
It's weird.
It is weird.
You don't keep.
I'm not.
you-
I'm brown sauce. I don't do ketchup.
And brown sauce as well. Yeah.
I like a bit of brown sauce, especially on bacon.
Egg butty, man, with brown sauce. Oh, wow.
I don't know if they have brown sauce in the States.
A1 steak sauce probably the closest thing.
Is it?
I think so. Isn't that like a fruity sauce?
Anyway, Lee, what are you talking about brown sauce for? We're supposed to be getting on with what's the title of the show? Our Mad World.
Yeah, and mad people put fucking ketchup in the fridge. We're on topic.
That is very true. That is very what. can I just call you Ian? I'm going to struggle with Mr.
Please
Mr.
do. Please
Mr.
do.
Ian.
Yeah, it's Mr. Ian. Yeah.
What got you into this subject, Ian? How long you been into the whole paranormal UFO thing?
I had a number of experiences as a child through to my late 20s with things. And I started looking on YouTube for various answers, went through a couple of people who were claiming to be experiencers and psychics and stuff. And the majority of them pushed me away and didn't want to know. And I somehow ended up with Rich Giordano.
Oh, good fun, yeah.
I'd looked at the field, and from having experiences myself and then seeing the videos that other people were making, it was quite clear to me that they hadn't had those experiences because of the language that they were using. It just wasn't right. So I as an attempt to kind of explain the things that I'd seen as a child, it very much led my career, and I ended up doing props and trying to work with media and trying to work with cameras and trying to essentially for myself personally recreate what I'd seen, which I couldn't. So, which you desperately try and ratify in your mind. Things can't just appear out of thin air and fuck about with you and then disappear again. I mean, how do you explain that? So, I mean,
Yeah, because you message, it was Lee. Lee put a message out on Alien on the channel before he did his show on Shadow People.
Yeah,
and it was just going to be a discussion with him and Dave, and it was I know I'm well aware who you are, Ian. I've seen you about. I think I've been on a show with you a couple of times.
Yes, yeah. Last time I was on, I think I might have been shouting at area. Oh, just horrible debacle that Thomas Fessler started a massive argument with his crowd. I was on his team at the time. I'd been cast over there because of we'd put up a video for Rich to put up, and Rich ended up. It was a fake video, and it was to educate people so people knew when other people were trying to put up fake videos. That was the idea. Let's teach people what they are. And he took the whole thing and twisted it around and ended up giving that video to Third Phase of the Moon. Third Phase of the Moon played it. They stripped my audio out of it and put this wow, look at the engine wash and you can see the structure under it and look at the wings and all this. And it was a bicycle brake light that was sellotaped to my ceiling pendant, Justy. And he, so it was all a big lie, and something that I'd made ended up being twisted and presented on Truth Seekers. I just watched it open mouthed, like, how have you managed to do this? I had to go at Rich. I ended up then firmly Team Fessler from that point. Team Fessler, bless him, Thomas is a lovely bloke, but he thinks he's the Messiah and has superpowers given to him by angels, and he only ever uses them to contact his dead mum, which is a kind of bit weird. So that was this fight going on between him and Rich, and it seeped over. I know, so much drama. So I ended up with Steve, and Steve's a family man. He's a programmer, and he's an honest, generous, lovely bloke. He's offered me money for the work I've done for him, and I've said,
I paid him to say these nice things about me too. Yeah,
spend it on your kids, mate. Spend it
money
on
well
kids.
spent.
So, I mean, I'm happy to forge forward with truth seeking with Steve for the purpose.
Thank you.
Of
I
truth,
appreciate that. We're glad to have you and Spooky too, especially.
Who?
Hey, Carrie, how you doing?
How's it going? I'm rocking the super white today.
There we go. The whole gang.
Can you hear me okay? I'm not. This is the first time I'm using my iPad as a webcam.
You're fine.
Sounds great.
Cool.
Cool. Is it Spook or is it Carrie?
It's both.
Take your pick.
Which do you prefer?
I'm late for dinner.
I really like Spooky because I like spooky things. But welcome,
I guess Spooky's like my artist name, I guess. But Carrie's cool. Whatever.
It's great to have you on board. Lee, my partner in crime, basically my boss and my lover. Stephen, it's a pleasure having you again.
Yeah, but I can only pop in for a little bit because your shows are always on when I'm getting packed for the cabin or driving.
I know, and
but
do you know
what? Listen when I drive. That's what I do when I drive to the cabin. I listen to you or a better show usually, but sometimes I listen.
Always a better show. It's great having your camera. Looks great tonight, Stephen. Have you done something different? Have you updated it?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it's just darker in here than it usually is. I'm more handsome. The darker it gets, the more handsome I get. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks fantastic, I wanted to do this show. I had no idea that you boys would be coming on. But I think over my journey with looking into this whole subject, I've realized that it's whatever this thing is that we all seem to debate and have drama over, it is very much kind of nailed down to, let's just say, where we actually live. I feel like we need to look here more than out there to get the answers that we are trying to seek when it comes to this subject. Because I feel that so many people just seem to make things up when it comes to the lights in the sky. I've seen the lights in the sky. I'm pretty sure everybody here has seen lights in the sky, but we have no idea what they are. But we've all had, I don't know, I'm not speaking for yourself, Spooky and Steve. I think you what paranormal stuff.
Yeah. I've had a lifelong interest in all of it, but investigating it from a skeptical angle, and I don't know. What I really started investigating wasn't UFOs at first, but I had a personal experience and an interest. So I was always reading books and things like that. I really started doing investigatory work into psychics, and it started with psychics in my local area and mediums, and I did sort of like undercover, like I would just go there like a client and waste a lot of money, and I was kind of shocked that they all use the same cold reading tricks that I used as a magician and a mentalist. But when you get into the UFO stuff, I've always said this, I think that the reason there's so much fraud, fakery, and bull is because there's such a hunger for this information, and there's such a hunger for it to be true but the real and verifiable, really good evidence is so tiny, minuscule amount of real or verifiable evidence that the fraudsters rush in to fill that need, because there's this huge hunger out there. And we've seen how incredibly profitable it has been. People are making millions of dollars. I commented on my show last night on Stephen Greer. He has made literally millions and millions of dollars and has yet to provide any verifiable real proof or evidence of his many ridiculous claims. And every time he does offer up evidence, it's suspect at best, or fake documents. He's telling people cactuses or extraterrestrial aliens or moths. It's kind of laughable, especially when you consider
by the four guys.
He's made millions of dollars. He's made millions of dollars with that level of garbage, And it makes me sad sometimes, because I know that if we're going to do this the right way, the morally and the ethically correct way, you can't give all these people a pass. And you can see it from the content creator side. It's very profitable to just go with the bull. Look, we can, Ali, you, me, or whatever, look at our numbers, and then look at somebody who's all chips in on the woo, and all the fakers, fraudsters, gives them all a pass. They do 10 times what we do, or 100 times, or 1,000 times what we do. It's unfortunate, but people want that delusional fairy tale. The truth, the real truth, when you show it to them, it's somewhat entertaining, right? We've had some great gotcha moments. And those gotcha moments are entertaining. Like when you can peel back the layers of deception and see how these people are faking things and making all this money, it's a great gotcha moment. But people prefer the fairy tale, the delusion, and it is. It's enticing, right? Oh, there's aliens and flying saucers somewhere, and there's bodies. Like, I want to see all of that. I wish all of that was true. but I just don't have real or verifiable evidence. I've got a lot of verifiable evidence that a lot of the stories are fake, surrounding. And you also have to view ufology or UFOs and aliens from the realm of mythology, right? It's just the new mythology of the day. Back in the day, in the 1700s, especially you English guys, you guys had pixies and gnomes and leprechauns.
You still do.
You still do. But
not
now
my
it's
wife.
viewed through a more now the mythology that is created and the stories that people tell are viewed from a more technological angle. So instead of hearing about fairies and pixies and gnomes and leprechauns and elves, we're hearing about gray aliens and reptilians and Octorians or whatever the case may be.
It's become an interactive meta drama for everybody.
Yeah. You can add on to the mythology yourself. You step forward with your incredible stories and they get added on. And we see you can, if you study, and I really have studied the history of a lot of this stuff. You go from the 50s and the contactee movement, and then it turned into a lot of stories of alien abduction from the 50s to the 70s. And then in the 80s, late 80s, we started getting stories of, they have crash recoveries, they have bodies. And it becomes this mythology that Spooky's right. You two can add to it. You can, what's going to be 10 years from now? What is everybody? Then it turned into the Tic Tac and all this stuff. It becomes one big, mythology. And even that is interesting to me. The mythology of it is all interesting to me.
But do you think there's anything?
On that right now,
do you think there's any sort of foundation behind the mythology? Because that's always been my thought.
I always say that when there's mythology that's being created, there's some nugget of truth in it. We can look. One of my favorite examples is those giant chimpanzees that they just discovered a few years ago in Africa. For hundreds of years, the natives were telling people there's these giant man apes. There's these giant apes out in the jungle, and it was mythology. It was totally mythology. And then one day, the right Western researchers stumbled upon them and got video and proof and evidence, and they even pulled some live specimens. So suddenly it's not mythology, but there is always some nugget of truth, right? In all mythology.
There's some underlying event or fact that
created the mythology. Right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the fairies and pixies in the UK. I can remember seeing those fake pictures. I can't remember the name of the
fairies. With the girls.
Fairies, yeah. They were literally they were hand drawn, really well drawn.
Two sisters. It was two sisters.
I remember those. I have some of those images somewhere on my computer. I definitely do. Those are great images. It was all hand drawn stuff, but people thought they were real.
But we've been doing this for such a long time now. And
Pottingley fairies.
That's the one. But it's all stemmed from myths, legends, and I mean, I'm and I know a few people don't like him. I really like Graham Hancock, and
I kind of like him. I'm a little suspicious of some of his claims, but then you have to realize that he's been right about a lot of stuff, and he got so vilified by a lot of people in academia, and then it turns out he's right. You got to give him that he's been right about some of his theories have been absolutely proven to be true, and that major science got it wrong. And
he states to look at the myths and the legends because there's always some. Well, not always, but you might find a hidden truth by looking back at those myths.
Well, one of the other things, Ali, that I love as far as myths go is, for a very long time, there's been myths and legends that the Ark of the Covenant moved to Ethiopia, right? And I don't know if you know this, but the Ark of the Covenant is supposed to be kept in a sanctuary in Ethiopia.
The Thing of Fire.
The Thing of Fire. And it has been for hundreds and hundreds of years. And here's something crazy. It is verifiably true that every guardian there's only one priest in that sanctuary that's allowed to view the Ark of the Covenant. Every single one of them goes blind and suffers from what most people would say is something like radiation sickness. and they
But
die
the thing
quickly.
is, whoa, he's been back
So-
there 3 times. You think he'd have
Yeah.
at least taken a hazmat suit with him.
Something,
Second
help
or
those
third
guys
time.
out. Yeah, but see, that's the weird thing when you get into some of these legends, and then you go, "What if it's really true? Like, why are all these people going blind and dying that are close to this thing that they're claiming is the Ark of the Covenant?" That's
Is it just a big
insane.
chunk
And,
of uranium?
Graham Hancock went back there multiple
Could be.
times. Yeah.
It could just be a massively radioactive
And then
meteorite.
it begs the question, like, why do they regard it as being holy?
Yeah.
Because it glows
why?
and it kills people.
No, but even if you thought, even if it glowed and it killed people, there would be a point where it's at some point in history, someone would have gone, we need to stop carting this around now. You know, it's killed thousands of us. Let's just bury it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You know, I think that there's the best evidence of where that thing ended up is Ethiopia, and Hancock and others have really tried to study that. Of course, they won't show it to anybody. So, you know, but there's whole.
It could be a ship reactor. It could be.
That's what a lot of people have said. It could have
reactor.
it could have been a power source from an alien civilization. It could have been many different things. You know.
Have you?
It's pretty wild.
How long you been doing this for now, Stephen? In terms of like doing shows?
Like I don't know, maybe 8 years. I did this. I did this real slow show, the Midnight Hour, for a long time, and that was like whenever I could finally get a guest and do an episode. Maybe if it was once every couple of months or whatever, and I would put them out. And that was a few years of that. But Truth Seeker's like what, 2.5 years now?
It's coming up on 3 in like.
Oh, there you go. See,
yeah,
time flies when you're having so much.
Although
fun.
I had that conversation with you like 2 months before that, so the idea of Truth Seekers was already 3 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Would you say as a host, and I know I know my answer to this, but do you feel that how can I word this right? When you get guests on, and you've had sometimes some very controversial guests on your show, more than I've had on my show, I would say. He's a very interesting guest. You owe it to your audience to ask the right questions.
Sure,
but
it's a balancing act to be respectful too.
You have a guest, and you've got to keep getting guests on the show. But the problem I see in this field over and over again is that somebody will get a little bit of limelight, and then they will start to change. They will go on other shows, and before you know it, boom, you've got a superstar.
Yeah, you're right.
The people will just work. So, do we create these monsters?
Yeah, yes. I think we definitely do sometimes. And the guests, see, I've always said, like, I cannot shy away from controversial figures because this whole thing is filled with controversial figures. And you know, I know somebody took a shot at me for interviewing Dodie, but at the time, people don't know this, but like, you know, I'm always working on all these things, and a lot of projects that I do never finish. I was working on a book about the UFO file and the U.S. government. And what a lot of people don't know is that Richard Doty's family, and still to this day, people don't know this. If they saw that interview, they knew it because I asked them a lot of questions about it. Richard Doty's family has been involved in the UFO file for the U.S. government. His uncle and his father, both verifiably, have been involved in the U.S. government and the UFO file, and then Doty. So the two reasons I wanted to interview him is I'd never heard anybody ask him about the Benowitz case. Like, do you regret that? Why did you do that to that man? Nobody asked him and pushed him, and I did. And to this day, there's still blog posts all over that cite that interview that I did with him. I think it was good work. I stand behind it. And nobody knew about his family's connection. Why is he multi-generationally? And it's not just Doty. I have found multiple examples of people's family being involved in the U.S. government and the UFO file on secret level.
For the audience, the Benedicts, what's
The
what's his
Benowitz
name?
case. Yeah.
Is the guy who he sent crazy that
Yeah.
believed
He literally
Yeah.
drove a man
Yeah.
crazy because he was feeding him with UFO and alien disinformation. It's not been verified, but Doty, and I do have another source who claims Doty is being accurate, but I'm always suspect of Doty because he was a paid disinformation agent. Is he giving me disinformation or is he giving me the truth now? Now he's got this redemption arc. Like now he's telling us the truth, but he's on Gaia TV, so I don't trust him. But
he's
anybody
got
on
to go
Gaia
woo woo
TV,
to pick his checks up.
yeah, but like I stand by hosting controversial figures. I also got a lot of flack. Somebody said, "Oh, you hosted a hoaxer," when I hosted Anjali. But the truth is, the reason we know she faked her entire story is because of the whole investigation that we did. We found her witnesses, and then we interviewed the witnesses. We did
Bless the Wayne.
We did full spectrum on that story from beginning to the end of it. And unfortunately, it's not the end of her story because now she's on Gaia TV and
Right,
got
I
a
was about to
lucrative.
say.
She got a
Oh,
big
is she on
money.
Gaia TV now?
She got a
With
big money
Doty.
contract with
On the
Doty.
same episode
And the
too.
funniest thing is, we busted her entire original story as completely fake, made up nonsense. All of the two other witnesses, I talked to both of them, one off camera, by the way. The wife didn't want to be on camera, but with the Wayne, he did. Busted her whole original story. 6 months later, she's on Gaia TV. She's getting paid lots and lots of money, and she retold her entire original story that we busted as completely fake, as if we didn't bust it. You know, sometimes the bigger bullhorn just wins. So she just gets
And no publicity is bad publicity.
It
No
makes
Can
sense,
Wayne
though,
sue?
doesn't it?
But my point is that I stand by hosting controversial figures, and you can't attack me for hosting a hoaxer when I'm the one that exposed that she faked her story. If not for what we did, nobody would know that. You know, I mean, maybe it would have eventually come out. And
I mean,
by
Charlie
the way, it
Weiser
was
did a lot of good work.
Charlie
too.
Weiser and James A. Conrad,
Right.
we all worked together to really dig into her story. I did her background investigation and found out that at least she was telling the truth about her education and working for the DIA twice, once as a direct employee, once as a contractor. But the point is people can attack me for going after or hosting controversial figures. I have a reason I'm doing it. I'm not just going, let this person come on and tell a fake story so I can make money. You know, to be honest, the whole Anjali thing was a setup. I never thought that we would get to her witnesses, but I was hopeful that we would. And we did. And again, I stand by that work. That was good work. And to this day, that's one of the biggest stories that we ever did, because we full court pressed, investigated her claims, everything, the whole minutia of everything, the coffee shop. I talked to people at the coffee shop that she met those people in, you know, like, so you have to host controversial figures because everybody's controversial, you know, it's just a part of the game, you know, but I think you could do it ethically and as long as you ask the right questions and you bring new information about their story. And when it comes to Doty, we did. When it comes to Anjali, we did. And by the way, I don't ever say never, but I probably won't interview Doty again. I got from him what I wanted to. I wanted him to confirm for me that his family, I already had sources. I had paperwork that proved his family was involved in Blue Book and the UFO file. I wanted him to confirm that for me on the record, and he did. And I was going to put it in a book, and I never finished the book. Maybe someday I will. But I have this whole outline of the UFO file, who investigated it, who was deeply involved in the U.S. government and had access to all the secret files. Doty's family was deep in this, and so was Doty. And I think that's interesting and worthy information to share with people.
I think the Doty thing might be even more important now. Because I think there's a reasonable assumption you can make that scenario might be going on in the US right now.
Absolutely.
On a national scale.
Absolutely. And they have learned from their past infiltration of the UFO community. And, you know, they infiltrated the UFO community with Bill Moore and with Richard Doty. And they had people spying on UFO investigators. What do they know? Report back to us. And then the deal is we'll share the secret sauce with you if you tell us what they have. But they shared disinformation, misinformation. And then we have the whole TTSA PSYOP, 150 years of combined CIA experience on the TTSA board, a bunch of people that were literally CIA agents on the TTSA board. We've got John Ramirez as a CIA agent. Now we've got Sean Ryan, who was a CIA contractor, interviewing Stephen Greer and just letting him lie for 2 hours straight, doing zero fact checking, zero research on him. The CIA is deeply involved in the UFO file, and they are somehow, all I can do is look at the available evidence and data and try to draw conclusions. They are somehow trying to manipulate the whole situation. They want to they want people's perceptions. It's like perception management. We want you to think there's a UFO threat. For what purpose? To get funding? Maybe. Who knows? But there's literally CIA agents all over the UFO community right now. And you've got Sarfati and you've got Pandolfi and Hal Puthoff, all worked for the CIA. And they're deeply, deeply embedded in the UFO community. And somehow they all get a pass. Like, oh, those same guys who lied to us for 75 years about the UFOs and the aliens, now they're going to tell us the truth.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't understand the narrative, I don't
weird.
get it.
Even the the press conference after the shoot downs. I can't remember the guy's name that was holding the press conferences. But the language he was using, like how they not being able to rule out extraterrestrials, and then there was was it the same one or another one where he suggested that people make sure they lock their doors before they go to bed.
Yeah, I think that was Tim Burchett. Yeah. The senator.
This isn't normal things. Like the normal thing for like government addresses is to like spread calm, not craziness.
Yeah, and the other thing that was interesting about that whole event is that you had one side of the government, including the COG commander. A lot of people don't know this, but there's something called continuity of government in the United States. And that person came out and said, we can't rule out extraterrestrials, the NORAD commander. And meanwhile, Chuck Schumer, a high-ranking Senate Intelligence Senate member, and other people said, it's just balloons. We've ruled it out. So we got two separate messages. And then what happened is all the UFO believers ran with the side that was saying it might be aliens.
Yeah.
And the skeptical side, like me and others, said, they've confirmed it's balloons. This is a nothing burger, right? And then, oh, by the way, speaking of the CIA narrative, I know I'm getting a little conspiratorial, but people like this, I'm going to prove it. The YouTube channels and the media outlets that pushed that those balloons may be aliens got huge numbers. Yes, and I always think there may be, even with one small YouTube, I'm not going to name names, but there's a YouTube channel that was getting like 100 live viewers. Suddenly they're getting 1,000 live viewers because they're telling people that those balloons are aliens or might be aliens. Suddenly they're getting,
I think they're definitely
5
aliens.
times the views that they used to get. It's almost as if there's a thumb on the scale. It's almost as if there's a thumb on the scale, and the people that are helping push the narrative and the op that they want people to believe, they put their thumb on the scale. They help those people amplify that message that they want out there. And I don't know what's going on with it, but I've seen too many wacky things. Like you don't go from 100 live viewers to suddenly 1,000 or 500 overnight.
You talk about Fessler.
Not specifically him. I've got a spreadsheet of like 10 shows, and I can and maybe I'm going to release it because it's weird what happened with it.
I sent some information to Lee the other day, which
the people that pushed that they're aliens got big bumps. They all got big bumps.
I daren't mention it on here in case the show gets kind of blacklisted, but I showed some views of the UFOs, the balloons being shot down from certain channels, and then I also showed some views of a certain derailing in the States,
which is wild because that shouldn't be something that's deboosted. That's
got
just
20 views.
News.
The same channel.
We covered that
same channel.
Is this, right, okay. I'm aware that there is something called Twitter Pro for business, that you can pay for. For some reason, I get it free. I AI generated some images of UFOs over the Arctic.
See, there's the thumb on the scale. Push those aliens. Yeah, I believe that they
they gave it to me free.
The same thing goes when people are pushing the narrative that they want. they get the boost. And when people are talking about things they'd rather not, the scales get, the knobs get turned back on their channels. Call it shadow banning, whatever you want.
Isn't it?
It's a strange thing to see, and I don't understand it from a computer science perspective. It doesn't make sense to me that somebody goes that there's such a jump in numbers, unless it's just human interest. Like, oh,
I feel so used
to be aliens. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it makes it might not be something as shadowy as like a hidden hand that boosts and deboosts people, because it could literally just be the fact that if you say it's aliens, it gains more attention, so it shoots up the rankings, because essentially the YouTube and Twitter want to make more ad revenue back. It could be as simple as
that.
Attention. Yeah. I mean,
I've seen other examples that make me think that there is a hidden hand somehow, and who knows? But some of this stuff is crazy. Another example is, why is like Jeremy Corbell? Why does he get access to so-called classified information? And he's saying these Navy people are all risking their career, giving them videos from the ship, right in the cockpit of the ship, the bridge of the ship. You can't just film radar screens on a Navy ship and give it to a journalist. No, you'll get fired, court-martialed, and arrested. Yeah. But somehow he's getting this stuff. I got a question. It's bizarre.
What's the difference between Jeremy Corbell's intelligence community insiders and David Wilcock's insiders? Because I see no discernible difference.
David Wilcock isn't involved.
There's no difference, but Corbell is better. Corbell is better at pretending that he has better, credible, real insiders. Wilcock just pushes anybody that says stuff like Pete Peterson. Oh, I worked for Ronald Reagan as a science and technology advisor. No, you didn't. We can check that. You didn't. But somehow Corbell does have access to some military people. So I guess it's that
aerospace network around like Knapp and Bigelow and that whole area. It's just right.
It is bizarre. Yeah. Well, he just said that he has 100%.
UFO instances. All of the UFO sightings at one point was solely reported to Bigelow. That was the
he was getting them
all. If you saw anything.
But I thought the weird thing about Bigelow was, do you guys remember when he did Rogan? Or was it last year sometime?
Maybe it was terrible.
Yeah, awful. He seemed to know absolutely nothing about anything. I don't claim to know anything either, but you think Robert Bigelow, who poured millions into researching the paranormal, gets stuck on like the biggest platform in the world with a guy that's really interested in it, that wants to ask questions, and he has no answers.
So is he just I think he's just a financier, because you could ask him questions about inflatable space hotels, and I don't think he'd know either.
Or he poured millions into
nonsense.
Nothing.
Into nonsense, yeah. And the other thing is like, I don't know how it works in England, but it sounds a little corrupt to me that the government would give him $21 million to investigate a ranch that he owned. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you own the ranch, you pay to investigate it. We gave $22 million in taxpayer funded, and then people were like faxing him fake stories and getting drunk, like telling him about werewolves and shit, and he was eating it all up. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
I think he could be like a victim of a man that's incredibly wealthy and has been incredibly successful and is also incredibly bored.
Well, I happen to know somebody that has more money than God, and he because of a situation with his father dying, he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on mediums. He traveled all over the country and went to every medium that he could find in every city he could find, trying to communicate or settle things with his father. So, it's like anything, like all of us here on this panel are interested in stuff, right? And maybe we've got a little bit of money. We'll buy some books.
Nothing interests me. Nothing.
But you know what I mean? Like, we've all got interests. So if we've got a little bit of extra money, we'll buy a book, a documentary, whatever, maybe some techno toys or ghost hunting stuff or whatever. But these guys that have millions, they buy paranormal ranches like Bigelow and Fugel.
I do it.
And then they spend all kinds of money paying wackadoo scientists to reinforce what they already believe, that there's something paranormal there. I thought it was interesting that Skinwalker Ranch, like Greenstreet goes and he goes, show me your best evidence. and they essentially show him like what basically could be a silkworm and a moth. That's their best evidence after 5 years and dumping millions of dollars in. I don't think there's anything to Skinwalker. I think it's a lot of myths and legends and anecdotes and stories, you know. And
it's a horrible thing to admit, isn't it? Because you said about like the crash sources and the alien bodies, I want all of the Skinwalker stories to be real.
Yeah, man. Werewolves.
Okay, you know, we've all been kids. We've all been kids. We all camped in that. We all camped in the yard as kids. And when that tent, when you're in the tent and there's the thing zip down, it's so spooky. Yeah. And if you're scaring each other, there can be monsters. You can convince each other there are monsters outside the tent. Beyond
so you're
that,
saying we're just doing that as adults.
That's all it is. Yeah, complete. Well, yeah, adults are big kids, just unbridled
and more resources. So instead of playing with sticks in the woods, we could buy whatever we want. You know.
It's the one rule. They say the men never grow up; their toys just become more expensive.
So Stephen, because we're all from the UK, apart from Lee, who's just got his own island.
Kind of the UK. I'll allow it.
See, it's like a mole on the UK.
Yeah. Coming over here with your tats.
That's my dream.
The Unitar Baser. Do you think that there's anything to that place other than it's just a place? Is anything special to that place?
No, I actually think that there are paranormal hotspots or places where strange things happen. You know, you've got that suicide forest in Japan, Mount Shasta, Mount Adams, the basin you're talking about. There's just places where there seems to be a higher level of strange things. And people talk about
Picchu.
Machu Picchu. People talk about ley lines,
the Nazca, all of that.
People talk about ley lines and maybe magnetic weird hot spots can explain some of that stuff. Weird stuff in the soil. Who knows? I definitely think that there's places like Bermuda Triangle. There's definitely places where there's weird anomalies.
How do you explain? How do you explain cutting the top of a mountain off and then turning it into an airstrip with markings in?
Well, we don't know if it was an airstrip, but it was something. Yeah.
Yeah, but they've cut the top of the mountain off.
Why build your city there? That's like the least convenient place to build your city, but they did. You know?
Yeah, the Nazca lines are fascinating. I mean, they're really ship drawings, but but they're pointless unless you're really high up.
Even ship drawing is difficult to scale.
They didn't have the internet. They had to do something. Let's make an 8,000 square foot tarantula that you can only see from the sky. That's another thing that doesn't make sense. Like, why build stuff you can only see from the sky? Unless they could fly, right?
How do they know it
is that a cargo cult? Is that a cargo cult?
Maybe, yeah.
What are you going to say, Spooky?
How do they know it looks right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great calculation, probably.
Or balloons.
I mean, what are they using? Like cubits? Like, how are they measuring a unit? And what is?
I mean, we know that the Golfier brothers and their balloon. They were sort of one of the first recorded balloons, but throughout history we have stories from across Europe of strange visitors appearing in flying vehicles like hot air balloons before we have a history of them being around. So maybe
I'd like to stay for another. I'd like to stay for another couple of hours, but I have to feed my children and throw my crap in my car and get out of here. But I'm glad that someday I'm gonna. Occasionally, I stay home from the cabin, and when I do, I'll let you know, because then I don't have to worry about all of the stuff, and I'll be able to come here. And you guys, the two of you are welcome to come on our show, but we have to figure out the timing because of the time difference and the schedule. And Ollie's got
what we'll probably have to do is that me and Lee are going to meet up soon, and we'll probably just have an all-nighter. Oh, don't worry, we won't be drunk. An all-nighter of coffee. And
listen, I kind of encourage drinking on the show because one time somebody fell over drunk and it got a lot of views. So if you can help me get views by falling over drunk, I'm all for it, right?
Just say it's definitely aliens. Just say it's definitely aliens, and I'll get the views.
That's true.
Well,
I did a whole show with a tinfoil face on once.
I'm going to
I think
bounce out of
Lee
here.
is actually closer to me. So if Ollie's coming across from Leeds, get the train over to here. I'll pick you up in the car and we can go use my car to go and see Lee.
That'd be even better.
He's on the way.
With that coffee Guinness that you're drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee Guinness.
I'm going to bounce out of here. You guys have a good
All right,
talk.
Stephen. Thank
I'm,
you, mate.
I'm leaving in 14 minutes, so I will
Drive safe.
I will be listening
safe,
to the
mate.
show. Thank you, guys.
See you later, mate.
Boys, it's an English, apart from Lee. Spooky, you're from the UK, aren't you?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So Ian, we before Stephen came in, you were telling us that you've had experiences, and this is why you're into this subject, but you didn't elaborate on what that was and when that happened and what was it.
Okay,
I'm really interested to find that out.
Okay, right. So as a child, I used to terrify the life out of my parents by not sleeping at night and claiming to see monsters in the room and pointing to where the monsters were. And my mum could obviously see what I was seeing. They were more sort of like faces at the time. It wasn't so much, I think that's more of a pareidolia thing as a child, from what I remember. But when I was 8, I had a very strange experience and woke up pinned to the bed by something. And as I struggled, it lifted off me and I sat up and opened my eyes and saw 2 things dissipating into the air like shadows. They left an awful smell in the air. It was like electric manure, sort of horrible.
Like sulfur.
Like sulfur, but more like burnt electricity. That sort of smell quite stands out. As a
Burnt
smell to me,
electricity.
like electricity, but manure, like sulfurous electricity. Yes, plasma would probably be the smell. Ionized air from one of those little plug-in air ionizers. They make a similar kind of smell. So anyway, didn't think much. What I say, kind of questioned what it was that I'd seen, and didn't really put it to the back of my mind and didn't really think about it. And then at a girlfriend's when I was 15, walking from her front room to her back room, and something caught my eye at the top of the stairs in her hallway, and I looked, and this thing was stood at the top of the stairs, about 3 foot tall, quite slender, more like an artist's mannequin, those wooden mannequins, quite featureless, more like a negative of something, almost more there because it wasn't there so much. About 3 foot tall, slender little figure, what people would class as an imp or something like that. And I looked away to call my missus in, and then looked back, and it had gone.
Clarifying, no mushrooms.
No mushrooms, no drugs, no nothing at all. Smoked cigarettes at the time, but nothing more, Don't even drink, so I get a bottle of Jack Daniels at Christmas and it lasts me all year. This coffee Guinness has lasted me since Christmas. This is the overhaul from that. So
that was like how quick
was
that?
That was teens,
From
and then
looking at it and going to just
and then
on that one
one
that you saw at the top of the stairs. How long did you see that for before you looked, turned around to get your girlfriend?
Half a second or so, like, and then called her in, and then looked back, and it's gone. But at the time, I got the impression that it stopped because, like if you were to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you'd initially freeze. You'd think its vision is based on motion in some way. If I freeze, it won't be able to see me. I got the impression that it was doing that because it was moving quite quickly. And I mean, this is the thing. I've seen other things since that stop and freeze as if they think that freezing is the best plan because you've obviously seen them moving. So stop. Yeah. But they were more recently as well, and more in line with the UFO topic as well. More more that a probe rather than actual creature. The creature's side of things, what you're defining as being shadow people, they seem to be able to they seem to be able to manifest in various forms. It's like you imagine like fish tank in a fish in an aquarium, in a fish in a pet shop. Say you've got all these fish in the aquarium, and every so often someone's coming up to the tank and they put their finger on the tank, and you can see that it makes this kind of orange round thing on the inside. When do you know what I mean? Where your finger is making contact with it.
If you were the
fish, it's like this fish is fuck George. This big orange thing just there it is again. Like
I like
you know
that.
What I mean? And it's kids outside the glass going like this, going do do do, and all they can see is these whoop. These big orange circles appearing on the glass. Fuck me, George. There's another one. What do you think they are?
I really like that.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. That's interesting.
So, these things obviously have the ability to interject on our 4 dimensions, and it's whether they're a 5-dimensional creature or just a higher dimensional order. And I mean, according to maths, 5-dimensional orders are actually more prevalent in our universe than 4-dimensional orders. So we might actually be a huge disadvantage. Well, it would seem so, because from the so these were things I saw during my teenage years, and then I got attacked by something in my early 20s. I was quite interested in magic and had read into magic and stuff, and I started seeing a lass. She was introduced to me in the pub by a mate, and we hit it off instantly. And she was really kind of a witchy kind of woman, burning black candles all the time, and symbols on her windows and things. And she was older than me, 7-8 years older than me, and she was a psychiatric nurse at St James's Jimmy's in Leeds. And we had a little house in Meanwood and 4 cats. We were together for a few years, and I used to have to counsel her when she'd come in from work. She'd tell me the most horrible stories. She worked in on the acute admissions ward, so she had some horrific stories to tell. And we had weirdness happening around the house. Like, the only time I've ever had what you would call sleep paralysis, where you wake up and you can't move, but you're aware that there's something in the room with you. And this thing was a 2-dimensional black square, much like the prison that Zod is trapped in the Superman films. You know, the flat thing that just tumbles. It was a flat 2-dimensional, very, very dark hole that was mobile around our room. And then following that, we'd gone out for the evening. She saw it as well. So then, okay, so the pattern from there. So we went out for the evening. On the way home, we had to cut across Leeds from Headingley, at the top of Headingley Hill, down through Meanwood Ridge, down into Meanwood, if you know Leeds at all, Ollie. So
a little.
From basically
out of Leeds.
Yes, so basically from the uni bit out to the more industrial edgy bit out there, where the miners' cottages were and stuff. Mm-hmm. So and they're really old passageways and York stone ginnels and stuff. They call them ginnels. You'll know the word ginnel. Mm-hmm. So we've gone to go through this ginnel, which goes on for about maybe a kilometre or so, a couple of kilometres. This ginnel cuts through all of the backs of the houses and ends up onto Meanwood Ridge, where all the trees and foresty bit is, and it ends in an arch. We started walking down it, and she's got her arm linked into mine, and she looks up at me and goes, "Ian, I don't like." And she looks behind her and goes, "I don't like the feeling. Don't like. Come on," and pulls me and starts running down the passageway, and I got yanked out of my body, and I could see myself and her running down the passageway, and but really soupy. Like slow motion. It was like I was taking big 7-league strides sort of thing as she was pulling me, and I wasn't there. So I was like, how am I doing that? Because I'm here. How am I? Who's controlling me? Literally, she was just dragging me along like a dead weight almost. And I was up here watching it all, and we went the length of the passageway until we got to the arch at the end. And when I went through the arch, I went sucked into myself, and I couldn't bear my weight. She had to carry me back to ours, and I was lying on the rug in front of the fire in hers, and I felt all that weight lift off me, and I felt this, and I started to see this ring of people stood around me, all holding hands. And I've spoken to Lee about this because he's had the same experience as well. It was like suddenly
very similar to what I've said before in this
and it was a spiritual experience as well. It's weird. You could feel the concern and the protection of this ring of people around me. And I'm seeing all of this, and not it took my last 2 days to be able to get a head around what she'd seen enough to be able to tell me what she'd seen. And she said she saw an 8 to 9 foot tall humanoid shadow with its arms outstretched going for the back of my head. And I remember when I came out of that arch at the other end of the passageway, my back of my head felt like it had frozen peas held on it or something. I'd been totally drained, whatever that was. But that was an attack. So we have an attack there, and it was semi-manifested. It wasn't corporeal. It was a shadow. So from then, so on holiday with my missus, another girlfriend now, in the Canary Islands, and we were in a 5-star marble floored apartment, and it was tiled up to the dado rail. Gorgeous place. We'd been out for the evening. We got back early, about 11 o'clock, went back into our room. We'd locked the bedroom door and gone to sleep. And it was about 1 o'clock. I was woken up by the duvet being pulled. And I thought, yeah, thinking it was my wife stealing the covers or something. So I pulled back, and it pulled, and I went, pull back, and it pulled. And I thought, I'm going to give it one big pull here. And pulled like that, nothing. And my hand's fallen on my missus, who's this side of me. And I'm thinking, hold on, if she's there, who's pulling the duvet from there? So I thought, what's going on? And I felt it pull a couple more times. And I thought, that's something climbing onto the bed, that is. So I pulled the duvet back and felt whatever it was that had just about climbed onto the edge of the bed flip over backwards and land on the tiled floor. It screamed in Spanish. I turned round and turned on the bedside lamp next to us and saw the back half of it scrabbling across the floor and up behind the curtain in our room. And it had goat's legs. It couldn't make any purchase on the floor because it was a tiled floor. So it was skating with its legs like this.
Strange. So it's a physical thing then.
When it screamed, it woke up my wife. She sat up next to me. She's going, what was that? Like that. I've turned the light on and you can see the curtains swinging. She's going, hey, what is it? What is it? What is it? We sat there for an age, daring each other to go and look up behind the curtains because I'd seen it. And I'm thinking, whatever that was demonic as fuck. It wasn't built right. And I think that was a full manifestation. The thing is, I was woken up with words in my head, which were, he wants to see you. So what was that, a messenger? Here, what was that?
Gigi said in the comments, the experience of being pulled from your body. Can you talk about that more?
Yes, they're like, did I send the pictures of the corridor to you, Lee?
No, I don't think so.
It's quite a deep corridor. The passageway is quite, the Ginnel is quite, if you look up Headingley Ginnel, if you can Google it, Headingley Ginnel, it comes up the top link and it's got loads of pictures all about this very scene where this happened. And the Ginnel is about, as I say, a kilometer, maybe 2 kilometers long, and it's split in the middle. And the main section of it goes, I think it drops to about 20 foot below ground level. So you've got old stone walls up either side of you. It's a really spooky place. But as soon as Fiona had said to me, Ian, come on, I don't like this, and grabbed me and run, it's like she ran away. It's like I and her ran away from me somehow. Literally got pulled up. I must have been.
I used to have a reoccurring dream like that when I was a child. It was less that when I was in my bed, it would feel like the room was getting bigger around me. So it didn't necessarily feel like the room was getting bigger. It felt more like I was shrinking into it.
I'm trying to think how I can liken it.
Just quickly here, it's just Jennifer's.
It's not the colors aren't right when you're up out of it. The colors are not right. It's like it's lens. It's like it's lens somehow.
Like a distortion.
Yeah.
Dolores Cannon.
Yeah, what are your views on? Is it or is it Durrell's? Durrell's Cannon. I don't know what that is.
Spooky, mate. Spooky's the man of knowledge.
She has some helpful words, I guess, but it's very much in this kind of new age enlightenment zone, which can be very dangerous. So discern, like don't fall in the rabbit hole. But there are some good things that she said.
Who is Dolores Cannon?
Just one of these like motivational new age speakers, but she's like kind of the old school. She's really old. I don't even know if she's still alive, but while she was active, she was kind of like a new age Tony Robbins, I guess.
Thanks, Jen. I'll go check Dolores. Is it Dolores? Dolores.
Yeah, I'm just on her website at the minute.
She's still alive?
I think so, yeah.
Cool.
So, another experience.
Cheers, Gigi. Love you too.
Another experience. Sat watching TV. Had been having some grumbles with a bloke locally, and he was a very strange bloke. So I could feel that I had hands around my neck, and just tried to shrug them off. At which point, my wife was sat behind me on the sofa, and she said, "What the hell?" As basically like a sofa-sized black shadow was disattached itself from me. So I seem to have a problem with shadowy things attacking me.
They might not be attacking
my neck.
you.
Oh my God, look out behind you.
Thanks.
I saw a shadow.
Spooky.
I see these things around the edge of doors. I see things poking. I see things going like this around the edge of a door, and you go, "What was that?"
That camera movement.
I mean, we've got 4 cats, and if there's something weird going on, all of the cats
will
come
fuck
and sit
with
around
you.
me.
Yeah.
No, but they don't. They know if something's going on because they'll go.
Oh, cats always know.
Too.
They
see
always
it too.
know.
So there's something going down. So, right in 2018, before we moved to this place, when I was in my kitchen, I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and looked, and again it stopped. This time it was a silver ball, about the size of a cantaloupe melon. But the surface of it wasn't a smooth ball. It looked like it was made of tin foil that was continually crumpling, like planes moving through it continually, like it was made of more dimensions than we could see somehow, or that it was doing something odd with dimensions in order to be there. And again, that was a half-second thing. It stopped and then it shot off, and I saw it shot off. And I thought, well, I told Gillian about it. That's my wife now. And then when we'd moved here, early 2020, sat in this very position, something catches my eye, and I look up, and it's the same thing. Only this time, what caught my eye was the dark bit that appeared before it, and it kind of made a hole that expanded, and then it popped, and then it popped back out and left the same thing, and the smoke kind of sucks into itself, the way that maybe antimatter and matter cancel each other out, or they don't do it like that.
They annihilate each other.
Yeah, that would be disgusting. Yes, but would it annihilate itself visually like smoke going backwards? You know, like the way playing someone exhaling smoke, but playing it backwards, so it goes.
Do you feel like this has been something that's
I mentioned that to my wife, and she's seen the same thing in the bedroom doorway upstairs. Just the once each.
But do you feel like it's attached to you, or do you feel like it's just something that you've just been lucky enough that you, your wife, and your ex have witnessed together?
I think we've just got the eyes to see them. I'm really good at Where's Wally pictures. You see, I'm very good at
but for because it was your ex-girlfriend that's seen it as well, and your wife has seen it. So
yeah,
those odds of you getting a part.
So are they everywhere, or am I the commonality?
Maybe, yeah. Spooky.
You could feed your ego all day long thinking that time travelers are spending money to come back and look at your life. So either I'm going to do something really important in the future.
You know how like your life flashes before your eyes before you die?
Maybe that's the recording device.
Well, no, maybe that's the time travelers. Maybe. Ollie, you had a question?
So if you see a shadow person, it's you from the future dying, looking back at your past life.
Yeah.
Carrie, what made you want to
what?
Research UFOs?
You took the question right out of my lips.
You got 6 hours. Short version. Okay. Had experiences as a kid, then found the X-Files and was like, wait, this is like what was happening, and then just became more and more involved over the past, like, I guess, coming up on 2.5 decades of being interested in the subject intensely. Lots of sightings, lots of experiences.
I've just noticed the massive X behind you.
Do you know that isn't just an X? So that is that is the pilot script for the X-Files in text form, and then different letters are made darker to make the X. It's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I found it on the internet. Like, I don't think anybody knows about it. I also have the I'm using my iPad. I also have the upside down X-Files poster because ufology is in distress, people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What is ufology?
It's a collective idea, split into multiple parts. One is a circus. One is rigorous scientific research that is far away from the media circus that you don't hear about. And the other part is the intelligence community. That's ufology.
But for you, what?
Oh, for me, the study of the anomalous.
I mean for you in general. I mean, what?
Well, it's like the study of UFOs. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do I do? Like,
what have you seen?
I mean,
what have you seen, Carrie? What's been the spark?
One of my earliest memories was when I was about 3 years old. I woke up in the middle of the night and floated up through my skylight into a craft with a light, and that was the event that was like, the fuck was that? And then after that, it was like I gravitated towards weird things, and in the like Fortana, and then
when you say a craft,
I don't think it was an alien craft. It was a black triangular craft with a circular light in the middle, which to me sounds like some kind of T3RB, but whatever. Like, I don't put too much like thought about it, because I mean, I don't know how my 3-year-old brain could have invented that, but I'll never get an explanation to it. But it was the seed that led to my interest.
We have black triangles around here in the northwest.
Oh, I've seen one sighting I saw like a V formation of black triangle craft like zip across the sky on a moonlit night, like, and I was just like, there they go, cool. Like, it's never really shocked me when I see stuff, because it's just been a kind of intrinsic part of my awareness, I guess, since that first event. like these things can happen. So it never really shocks me when I see something, which I guess has made me more open to seeing them. So maybe that's why I do see them.
Or is it because you're always looking at the sky?
I used to be. I don't look out very much anymore. I work too much, but I used to spend a lot of time sky gazing. I work on way too many things, and I have pretty bad ADD. Ian probably knows what I'm talking about. So like, I could go in 1,000 different directions right now because I wear about 1,000 different hats. So be specific, and I'll be specific with my answers.
I'm just wondering, like, when it comes, and I think when it comes to this subject, Lee, how long ago now have we? When did you first interview me? Then I had you on my show.
2019, I want to say
something like that, and then we became just ginger
Whatever
warriors together.
Yeah.
I've probably had nowhere near as many experiences as you guys. I've seen things. I've seen shadow fingers. I've seen UFOs. I those things, whatever they are, I'm convinced they exist. Lee seen shadow figures. However, he was extremely high, but
But interestingly enough, it's very similar to the circle Ian found himself in.
Yeah,
like they're very, very similar situations.
And I wasn't high at the time.
I was fucking high as donkey balls.
I think Spooky for yourself. I'm wondering because I have seen you on. I've seen you on the that one time I was abducted by aliens. That's a great show. They're great.
Thank you.
They've been on the. We'll have to get you on with them.
Yeah, they'd probably love to do that.
A lot of fun. They've been on before. They have been on before. I did a ladies' night.
Right, I think they mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen you on Steven's show. But I like the way that you kind of just sit back and chill with this subject. But it's like you have an idea, not of what this subject is, but I feel like you personally have some sort of idea in your head to what all this thing. You're very mysterious and spooky.
Best hypothesis, I think you're trying to say, aren't you?
Yeah, and
isn't that what we're all aiming for? Isn't that the purpose of ufology? Is to find the answer to that?
I think the question about, do you think it's nuts and bolts in the sky, or do you think it's something from here?
I think put all of your hands together. It's a big amalgamation of every facet of the subject that constantly goes to war with each other and doesn't have any common understanding or a common language. There's no standard for what phenomena is, so it's very difficult to get any meaningful progress. But I think it's a mixture of most of it.
It could even be a mixture
it's not just
of different things.
I mean, what was nuts and bolts 300 years ago? It was folklore. A lot. These stories now you get like, oh, it's expert evidence in front of Congress, but 3 centuries ago that was just a folklore tale.
Yeah.
So
I've often wondered whether like the lights in the sky that we're now sort of thinking of as it's kind of like what Cambian was saying before, as far as the folklore thing. You know, what was fairies is now metal crafts and reptilians.
Right. Is that their technology advancing though?
Well, no. What I wondered was whether it's something that's like completely non-physical, that's separate to how we deem reality, and it's just portrayed itself to us in different ways over the centuries and millennia, or even back for like look at the Hancock thing. If there's been past civilizations which have rose and fell, which we've no idea about, maybe this has presented itself to all of these things in slightly different ways, because that's just the way that they'll accept it. I can't remember the story now, but what was the story of when America was discovered, the natives didn't see the boats until the landing parties pointed them out, because they couldn't conceive vessels that big. They didn't see the boats because they were so alien and so out of the realm of norm. They just weren't there. They couldn't deal with it. And it makes you wonder if that can happen on that scale, then it can happen on our scale. You know, there can be there could be something that's out there that is so out of our realm of understanding that our brain just goes, nope, not dealing with this.
Are you suggesting our brains have the equivalent of peril-sensitive sunglasses? That if an
Yes.
alien mothership appears in the sky, it will literally bloop.
Yep, absolutely.
Chroma key it out.
Yeah, just not having this, not dealing with this today. Kind of like how I deal with just general work on a Monday.
I think there's a.
Doesn't Ollie look dapper with his new haircut there?
Daft. What?
No. I had to ask him to quit it again. I left the place.
It doesn't work like that, mate. You can't cut it back.
But no, you can't. That's
Oh
right.
no. I when I left Somerset, I had waist length hair, and I went into a hairdresser's and I said, you know that guy from Take That? I think his name's David Owen, is it? David Owen. And he's got this kind of chop cut through his hair that goes to about here. And I explained the whole thing to the hairdresser, and I'm sat there in the chair, and she gets the clippers out and goes whoop, up the back of my head. And I went, what are you doing? She went, well, you want it like that. You want it like that, like Michael Owen, don't you? I went, no. David Owen.
Isn't that a footballer?
Yeah. Michael Owen's a footballer, and he's got like a buzz cut and a little kind of a Tintin fringe at the front here. Anyway, yeah, they did that to me, and I wasn't happy. They didn't charge me for it. They didn't charge me for it, funnily. But inadvertently come out with a shaved head from waist length there. I felt sick, man.
Ugh. That's a loss. I would feel that loss. I have pretty long. It's tied back, but I have long hair. I'd hate to lose it.
You can't sellotape it back on again.
Well, you can try.
I've
tried.
Jennifer Sammy says no debris over water. Greer predicted this. Draken is back in.
I don't recognize that person.
Greer, no. I believe he sells snake oil.
Greer? You must recognize Greer, you know?
Dr. Greed.
Who?
Oh, McGreer?
Isn't he the guy that cried?
On cue.
He does like to shed a tear or two.
He's good at it.
Sorry.
He's really good at it.
Have you ever been a fan of Greer? Anybody here?
I lost quite a lot of money on that first movie about 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Oh, so my ex-friend, it's not I still love it. I still love Osvaldo Franco, but he's a big investor in TTSA, and he also invested a lot in Sirius. Well, I'm lying there. I don't know how much he invested, but I know he invested quite a bit.
I put about 500 quid in, and it took a year to get my DVD, and it was really poor quality DVD, and I was just yeah.
So you really are in this balls deep, aren't you, Spooky? You support the you're passionate about it, because for somebody to put £500,
it wasn't like in one chunk. I did it like I just put money towards it every month.
No, but I've got a lot of respect for that when somebody's telling me that they're seeing like crafts and stuff like that. Right. They're actually putting the money in it, because Osvaldo Franco, he used to come on the show quite often. Great guy. Oz, if you're watching this, still love you, mate. Well, we need to converse again. He's seen loads of things, and he's convinced that he's seen them. This the reason why he supports the subject so much, because he wants answers.
Right.
So
that's the goal, right? Is to like it's. You're gonna laugh at this. I'm actually wearing my brand shirt of I Hate It Here, because that's how I feel about like this whole enterprise. The ufology's entered into this digital grift where everything's monetized, everything is about getting subscribers and likes, and that's not ufology to me. That's a circus grift thing. And that's where most well, allegedly, if you play the access game with the intelligence communities, absolutely there's money for you. But you know, if you don't do that, the only other way to do that is to fake videos, like our resident favorite video fakers.
I think the thing with the TTSA, for instance, when you talk about ours, I think the worst thing about those sort of grifts, and because it's kind of like the what's his name? Although I don't think he didn't try and crowdfund it, did he? Who we were talking about him before, Wilcock and his flying car. Like the thing with TTSA was, I mean, but they basically turned around and said, "Look, we're going to break anti-gravity technology. You know, it's like jump in here. You can invest." I'm sorry, but if you've got anti-gravity
You're
technology,
going to be building one of these things.
you don't need to fucking crowdsource it. You don't go on Kickstarter for anti-gravity technology. It's just wild that anybody put.
Greer did the same thing 10 years ago. Got like $500,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Free energy.
This isn't a new thing. This has been going on since like the mid.
He's got the free energy though. He's got the biggest. What is it? The wind farm or whatever he's got in his.
Yeah, but I mean, but every Greer documentary, don't get me wrong, I've watched them all. I obviously like to try and hurt myself, but and I would argue that they've decreased in quality since Serious Disclosure. I think Serious Disclosure was probably the best one of them to watch, whereas they've slowly got worse, and he's clearly slowly spending less and less and less money.
That's a bottom up effect, isn't it? That's a bottom up effect from the community. He realizes what he can get away with now.
Yeah. Until the last one was just a fucking shambles, to be perfectly honest.
Well, who made it?
I think we know who made it.
I know, right? His first movie was made by a guy called Amardeep Kaliko, who I actually became Facebook friends with. He was running for US Senate. He was a cool guy. Mm-hmm. And he was completely kind of removed from the UFO field. He was just a filmmaker. That's why that first film was actually kind of like a film. That's why I invested money in it. So I was like, oh, there's actually like real people working on this. And then the second film came out, and the third film, they're both done by the same guy. I enjoyed them as films, but this was before I lost money on the first film, and then I saw Unacknowledged and actually thought it was all right at the time.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, I have a long history detour in my interest is that I fell into the Corey Good thing. Like really super deep, unbelievably deep. And I kind of just started accepting the Greer stuff as, oh, it must just be real. It must be just real, you know?
He presents himself very well, especially back then.
But then I came out of that. So it was like, now I work really hard to stop people that spread bullshit because it's harmful and hurts people. And I've seen people traumatize people in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt just for calling it out.
Yeah.
This is the fight. And you know, stem the tide.
I still believe Greer used his doctorate quite cleverly at the beginning. Like, because I back in like the Wild West days of YouTube, I'd come across Greer talking about like 0 point energy and stuff, and the fact that there's hidden 0 point energy that the government have hold of. We can get rid of oil, all that sort of stuff, like the usual Greer trot thing. And because he was introduced as Dr. Stephen Greer, and he was talking about different forms of energy, I took it for granted he was like a physicist or something like that. I didn't. And obviously, this is not saying anything bad about fucking medical doctors. Of course, they keep us fucking together. But I shouldn't have found out like 2 years in. Oh, what he's a hospital doctor. He's not like a nuclear physicist, because he kind of talks
room,
like,
isn't he?
Right.
He's a trauma doctor.
He kind of talks like physicist stuff. But now you're telling me that he sews arms back on now and again. Yeah, it's very strange. Jennifer just popped up saying not a Greer fan either, but he did say there would be a false flag. Well, there hasn't been a false
who did he
flag.
get that from? He got that from Carol, and Carol got it from Werner von Braun, and how trustworthy is a Nazi?
Yeah, and you've got like David Icke said the same things and stuff. This is the thing that when you're dealing with people that are saying an awful lot of things, now and again they're going to say something which is kind of right somewhere, and you can
the Alex Jones syndrome, right?
You can draw back on it, yeah.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Did you ever
Thank you, Jennifer, by the way.
There's a question there. How in the fuck did I fall for Corey Good? I'll tell you. Psychedelics, depression, and I got into a relationship. That's
with Corey Good.
How that happens.
That's quite the story.
I know, big story. No, I ended up. I got in a relationship and moved to Canada while part of the whole thing, and then left the cult, and then came back to the UK. And then at the same time as I was leaving, I started working with Stephen, and I gave him the idea for Truth Seekers. You're welcome, everybody. And now here we are, and I make crazy ass memes every day. I'm working on things that I can't talk about, but I know Ollie knows about. But I literally can't talk about it. You'll see one day and you will be like, wow, that's what Kari was talking about. That's freaking cool, man. Honestly though, I can't say anything.
I definitely would like, not on this show, not this actual show here right now, but I would love to
when the time is right,
you,
we'll be doing stuff for it.
Especially about the Corey Good thing. You know, I don't know how painful that whole thing might have been, but
pretty wild, man. I went vegan for 2.5 years and lived on the side of a mountain. It's pretty wild. And followed the Law of One and all that.
What
stuff.
did you eat?
A lot of like lentils, actually. Red lentils with curried red lentils. Yeah. It was pretty good. Maple. A lot of maple is Canada, man. There's maple on everything. Yeah, that was
big
a
fan of
wild
maple
time in my life.
Spooky. It's interesting that you supported Greer in the beginning. So I think you're probably, so I'm not a ufologist. Lee's not a ufologist. Ian, I'm not sure if you are or not. I know you probably know more about the subject than I do, but Spooky,
I'm a Wally, apparently.
Spooky, you definitely know more than probably most of the hosts about this subject that are out there.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I'm not very good on camera, and I'm not very like speaking. Speaking is the thing, and speaking and explaining things is like the thing I'm least good at. And if I'm doing it competently now, I'm like, wow, I'm doing that. But
doing a good job, mate. But so you must know about the research that Gary Nolan was doing on the
ball shavings.
Yeah.
That he didn't even start, but then got put on TV as if Ross. That was Ross Coulthart, right?
But what about the TTSA? When TTSA, Gary Nolan got on board with TTSA and then released. It was them that released the whole thing about this Anaconda.
Right. I kind of look at that as kind of asset management. There was a lot of narratives flying around at the time. You had the Corey Good, Gaia, Woo Woo Contact in the Desert thing that was happening. You had, and on the other side was Greer. That was the only kind of other legitimate powerhouse. And then you have Tom DeLonge and his CIA boy band come in and say, we're going to be building something. And then it captures, they do it right as those articles come out, or just before. But they knew those articles were coming out. That's why they launched it just before. Mm-hmm. So when those articles come out and it blows up, they're already there. They're already established as an arm of the intelligence community within ufology, but looking more official. It's all narrative management. This subject has been managed by, like, for lack of a better term, operatives for a long time. We were talking about Rick Doty earlier. Like, he was just one. Like, he's just one that we know about.
I think what I'm saying there is, do you think that Gary already knew and had told Stephen that exactly where the evidence was and this thing was a human?
Most likely.
Stephen did nothing with it, and it
didn't conform to the narrative of the movie. You can't have a movie about discovering stuff and then at the end it turned out that it's all fake. It's like that flat Earth documentary where they debunk their own theory at the end. It's funny when that happens, but when people have invested money into the science testing and it comes back that there's nothing and it was a big nothing burger, like, of course he didn't want to lose that money, so he went, you know what, I'll just delete that evidence from my brain and continue as if Emery Smith was the actual authority on what that thing was. And that's what he did.
So you talked just then about like control of a narrative, because I think that's the most important question now, almost more important than if the phenomenon is real or what it is. Why the narrative management? And it really seems to have been dialed up right now. And it seems like it's such a poignant time for it to happen. Like, I always go back to when I first started to talk to Ollie, and I got him on my podcast, when the original New York Post article was New York Post,
New York Times.
The Times article came out, because I wanted like a UFO guy to explain it to me,
Right?
And
I couldn't.
I know, and you couldn't. Yeah, I should have asked UFO Jesus. Like you had this crazy situation where everyone was locked in the houses for like over a year in some cases months, but either way, everyone's attention was at a screen when these stories first dropped. So that's fortuitous straight away. And then ever since that stay home, stay safe day, it's been like living in a fucking sci-fi movie. Every month there seems to be some new distraction or some new craziness, and it's like we were doing when we were doing the podcast the other day, and I'm always quite skeptical of stuff, especially when it comes from like a government source or a source of authority. But when you're doing a podcast on a live podcast about UFOs, and someone comes up in the chat going, "They've just shut another UFO down. That's 4 now," and he's not crazy, because that's something that's happened, regardless of what it is that's shot down. The narrative is another UFO has been shot down over the US, and that's in the news. We are living in fucking weird times.
Do you know what is kind of weird? A couple of months ago, there was a lot of people in that kind of IC access network that was saying, "Oh, 2023 is going to be a really weird year. You all better buckle up." And I'm like, interesting. Hindsight. I
thought we'd stop calling them UFOs. I thought they were UAPs now. So shouldn't they have been UAPs?
That seems to be disappearing for some weird reason.
Even to the point they keep referring to them as objects as well, and they're talking about them. The word object is very like
balloon-like entity.
Yeah,
octagonal with strings attached.
Entity is that's the power word in that sentence as well.
I think that's for you, Spooky. I'll send you the £2. Thanks, Jen. Was unacknowledged all lies then?
I'm going to say it's all lies, but it's like stitching
that's my favorite
uncollected facts. I liked it. It's the CE5 movie, just as an aside. I really like that intro with all the different sightings, even though like a lot of them are probably fake. The way that was edited, I really liked. But
I enjoyed that up until I found out that it was a 2-hour advert for his app.
Hey, yeah. I have his app actually. But
any good?
No, not worth the money. But you don't need it. You could just use your brain. So unacknowledged. A lot of it is based on these stories, which are now like hotly debated and debunked and all up in the air. So it's very hard to like. You got to separate like what we know outside of Greer of the kind of military-industrial structure and the way that these programs work and all of these things, against all the things that he's telling you he was told by people, or that he observed himself, because I don't know how trustworthy that is, as he's been proven again and again and again to misrepresent and just outright lie. So it's discernment. There's never going to be 100% truth in any of these products, because they're tailored to make money over give truth. As much as Greer wants to say this isn't a money-making enterprise, he's the one making all the money, so that's easy for him to say.
That's the crazy thing as well, because if you actually had something worthwhile, had something that of substance that you could put out, you wouldn't need to charge for it, because the story is so big, you would instantly break it and be one of the most important people in human history. Right. At that point, you don't need to sell things. You're a Martin Luther King, or for instance, and hopefully you don't get assassinated. But this is one of those things. You would be so prominent.
The fact that if he was telling the truth about how much stuff he knows and how much stuff, like this dead man trigger that he has, like I'm sure the government probably wouldn't give a shit and kill him if it really was there, because there's probably they've got AI and whatever now. They can probably just cut it off and find it before, as secure as he thinks it may be. He's also a boomer. So
Look, if any man in the world had a dead man switch, it was John McAfee. and he's not
definitely.
here anymore, and that dead man switch never got switched.
Release his body, Spanish authorities. It's been
Well,
20
yeah,
months.
unless he's not dead and he's seeing out the rest of his life on an island somewhere, which
Right.
is what I
had that thought today. I saw
prefer.
Janice posting about not being able to get his body out, and I had the thought, like, maybe he did like fake his death.
It would make sense. He brought himself out of countries
Did
before.
you see the documentary, like leading
Loved
up
it.
to that?
So good.
That was a good documentary.
That clip of him
Very
where he was
gonzo.
on his way to the airport in a car, and he's explaining how they're after him because they think I'm a flight risk, which I clearly am. Just such a line.
I've not seen this documentary.
With John,
It's on Netflix.
it's so good. I
gonna
love
watch it.
McAfee. I
I'll watch it
genuinely
tonight.
love the guy. Last good thing Vice did.
Right, I actually tested positive on Wednesday for that thing that we're not allowed to talk about.
AIDS.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm. So I've been all shivering and coughing.
I think you
I need to blow my nose up. I look awful. I need a hot water bottle and my wife. So I'm going to bail on you.
No worries, buddy.
Traitor.
Have you changed rooms since I went in?
No, you took LSD. I didn't tell you.
Well, that's a green screen. It looks like the background.
It's a fake green screen, but it does look pretty cool. Like that little, like the way.
I honestly did not notice then because I left the room. I'm looking and thinking until you move. Yes, you go keep the wife company.
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you so much. Oh, there you go. Just don't bump into a
Bye.
balloon.
He's flying away.
Don't hit the firmament.
Right, I'm going to just go and cough lots.
All right, ciao.
See ya.
Peace.
Thanks, mate. I thought he was going to like give us a few coughs before he went. Bless him. Brilliant. So, do you think there's anybody in this field who is trustworthy in this field? Then I'm not talking. Okay.
There's a new school of people coming up that there's like
Third
a
face
network.
of moon.
Who? There's like this new network coming up that's very integrity based that I'm kind of proud to be a part of. There's my channel, there's Steven's channel, and then there's Invisible Night School. I don't know if you've heard of Invisible Night School. They are very good friends of mine. They lead.
Great name.
I know, right? They do Wednesday nights. They do really good nuanced interviews and have like academic level discussions about the phenomenon in a way that isn't like drama or grifting or anything. It's actual like experts coming on and having like intellectual conversations. It's really good. They only just started, but they're already close friends of mine, and everybody should go watch them because they're flying under everybody's radar. And if you care about the subject, that's what you should be watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I find interesting about you. I can tell you genuinely care about the subject more than most people I've met.
It's a way of life.
And I like that.
Thank you.
Whether what you believe is right or not.
This is how much I believe.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So John Greenwald.
John Greenwald's a good egg. It's really hard because everybody's got dirt on them, and it's like you have to measure that dirt against like what good they do, good versus harm. So it's like some people they do good things, but they also do terrible things, and some people do good things for a while and then they do bad things. Like Linda, everybody's nan. She did good work 30 years ago and has ridden that wave forever. And now it's like she's not relevant and she doesn't like any questions about her credibility, which is a terrible place to get as a journalist. Like you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be questions about who you are, why you're doing it, then
Well, it was a question about why she sold a PS2 game cover as a real image of an alien from the moon, and then doubled down on
ideal, is it? It's not.
No, I mean,
is
this what the fucking subject is? Like, fuck. Like, I remember playing that game when I was a kid.
How would she even think that could?
Because someone just cropped it and sent it to her and said, "This is a real image," and then she concocted this whole backstory behind an insider giving her the image. And again, I asked the question, what's the difference between Linda Moulton Howe's insiders and David Wilcock's insiders, or Corey Good's insiders, or Greer's insiders? There's no discernible difference because they are non-entities. You cannot prove or disprove their existence.
I think there's also a good chance that some of these people are just compulsive liars.
Yeah.
And the thing about compulsive liars is they believe their own lies, so they're really good at it. So, especially in that situation, if she's being given that photograph, maybe she 100% believes that was a photograph of something real because she's convinced herself of that.
Right. Well, is the photograph linked with a personal experience with the photo, or is it just a photo?
Mm-hmm.
I watched Kurt Jamungle when he asked Linda about that.
That was a fun clip to edit. I had fun with that one.
And also Greer when he.
Please read.
Yeah. So I think Greer walked into the Lion's Den with Kirk because he didn't realize how much Kirk knows physics.
Yeah. He just saw numbers. He doesn't go on a channel with less than 100k subs. So
it was very obvious, like halfway through that show, how much his back went up against the wall with Kirk.
Yep.
When he was like, no, you can speak, you can tell us about the tech, Stephen. We'll understand it here. Let's go into that. And he's like, well, no, I don't want to bore your audience.
This is a common thing with these kinds of people. You used to hear it on Coast to Coast all the time. Some purported expert would come in, and then Art would bring in some other person to like question him, or they'd have open lines, and a physicist would ring in and have a good question, and the person, the guest would just be like,
no, he'd speak to you. He'd speak to people that don't know what I'm talking about.
Right, or they'd give some kind of word salad answer that doesn't actually make sense if you understand it. Shout out to Art Bell. Long live.
Yeah, there's a thing with the Greer thing is arrogance as well, isn't it? Because if you're talking about like technology that isn't open to people, that we don't know where it's come from, it's alien technology, you'd be forgiven for going, look, I don't know, I just know what's being presented to me and what's being told to me by people. But he was that arrogant, he couldn't allow himself to look like he didn't know everything about what this thing was. But
sounds like Boomer.
Yeah, but Jennifer Sammy with the super chat here saying, what about the press conference with the military witnesses? Were they all lying?
So that's in the testimony, though. The problem that people have with that was the way that it was put together, and getting like former Congress members to come and sit is very there's a lot of showmanship with that, which admittedly, yes, at the time it was a good thing for the subject because it wasn't existing in this kind of paradigm where everyone can have a voice, everyone can have a platform. So getting these people together on a stage in the National Press Club was a big thing in 2001. But that doesn't mean that Greer's legit. It just means that he's effective at putting on an event. Like, that's all that means.
And I've often thought maybe at that point the intentions were in the right place. And the fact that didn't gain the traction that he thought it would be. He thought, well, if I'm not going to change the world, I'm going to change my bank account.
That's a good
one. Don't you find it strange though because Greer's had such a big relationship with Daniel Sheehan, and then all of a sudden Daniel Sheehan is Lou's lawyer?
Well, again, that's that who was Daniel loyal to in the intelligence community other than Greer? Greer's not the only fish in the pond. There's a lot of people probably behind the scenes. There's a lot of people out front. And I looked at that and went, okay, someone got to him. It's really easy.
I mean, I have no idea when it comes to laws and all that jazz. which is why I'm doing an alien YouTube channel where I don't know much about ufology.
So that on that respect, you could be a
basically-
lawyer in your eyes.
Yeah, but it almost seemed like a conflict of interests. You know, with the whole Chien and Greer thing. I mean, was Chien wasn't Steve? He wasn't Stephen's lawyer, though, was he? Am I right by saying that he was?
I'm not sure if he was his personal lawyer. I think he might have had some dealings with the business or something, but it's outside of his like type of lawyering. So I think he was just kind of an associate. Like, I'm not. You know what? You kind of unofficially hire a lawyer. They're just an associate of yours. They give you loads of really good advice, but they're not actually your lawyer, kind of thing. I think it was something more like that.
But let's just say that me and my wife are going to get a divorce, and her best friend is a lawyer.
Okay.
And I hire her.
Are you looking for free legal advice
as
here, Ollie? Or
isn't that a bit weird?
Yeah, I wouldn't hire my wife's best friend. I wouldn't do that. But I think they would probably, if they were a good lawyer, they wouldn't take the case, because there would be. I mean, legally they can't have any bias in what they're doing because it would, open them up to liability. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'd go to someone else because it would be a conflict.
It just seemed. I found that extremely odd.
I think that Sheen goes back a ways before Greer, so it's probably just one of his old hat friends went to him and went, "Look, you need to be on the right side of this. Here's a load of proof about Greer, blah blah blah." And then Sheen went, "Okay, I'm gonna go bat for the other team now, I guess," and he did that. And again, none of this shocks me ever because it's been this evolving interactive meta drama, It's happening on everybody's screens unless you go to these events. Like, I'll be at Contact in the Desert this year, which is going to be absolutely crazy to be in the same room as a lot of these people that I probably shouldn't get interviews with because they will hate me. But I'm going to do it anyway.
And so you should. It'd be fantastic. Me and Leo will come out.
Do it.
One day we will. One day
we'll have a flash meeting.
I have a press pass, so
both me and Lee need to wear serious sunblock when it comes to gingers and all that.
I'm all right actually. I don't burn. I'm a bit of an odd ginger. I just go brown.
Speak for yourself.
As the resident non-ginger, I can't relate.
So if you ever met Greer at one of these events, would you say you owe me £500, you bastard?
No, I've thought of some ingenious ways to troll people though. I don't know what I'd do with Greer yet, but I know what I'm going to do with Linda. I'm going to get that Area 51 cover, put on a t-shirt, and get a photograph with her.
And ask her to sign it.
Where maybe. I know that draws attention to it, and then she'll be like, "Oh, wait a minute!" Like, if I just get a photograph with her with that shirt, I feel like I'll be king for a day. That's my goal. But I have a lot of stuff to do at that conference. I'm working.
If you can get her to wear that shirt, I'll give you. I will give you. Let me think. What are we saying, Lee? £300?
What?
if you can get Linda Moulton Howe to wear the alien,
that would be so weird.
Shirt.
That'd be incredible.
I'd have to get like a really oversized one so we can just go on over her clothes.
Yeah, but
I'm tempted now. You give me the idea.
I'm very jealous of that.
We're already going to be filming some hilarious prank vlogs. So,
there's something going on in the UK. When is it? This
year?
Awakening
conference. That's like the Gaia Fest thing.
Oh, is it going to be shit?
It's run by Billy Carson, so don't.
We've got to go, Ollie. We've got to go.
I mean, go, but ask real questions, and if you get kicked out,
I think of the content.
I'm with Lee. I'm gonna get kicked out.
Think of the content.
I might be there, so.
Well, we can meet up.
We can cross streams. It's okay.
When is it?
October.
Oh, it's ages away. We can well plan this.
I have to time it. I'm going snowboarding at the end of the year, so I got to time everything.
Oh, nice. So we just got a super chat as well from Jennifer again. So not answered.
So keep super chatting. Just send us a
Yeah.
You know, from that group of people, there was one that was my favorite. It was the FAA guy. He's like, Phil Class can kiss my ass. I know what I saw. I love that clip because that's the attitude that we should have.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's not necessarily the. I think you've got to look at Stephen Greer, National Press Club, Stephen Greer, and Stephen Greer,
Gamified.
Yeah, they're different people.
Yeah. The rise of the social media age fed into his narcissistic personality, and now here we are. And this has happened to a lot of the ufologists because they thought that they were it in the 90s, and as this thing that feeds into their ego has risen up, so has their platform. A lot of people, but also their inability to handle big criticism.
I think
it happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. I think part of the. I mean, I enjoy doing these things. It's fine. I quite like the fact I feel I'm separate to like the UFO community because it seems a bit weird. But
I feel like I'm in the liminal space of it.
Yeah.
I get that feeling.
Lee, your ginger balls deep in this right now.
Oh no, I am.
Wow.
But like the cat I am, I could pull off and go and find a new hole at any time. But you've thrown me now. I was going to say, oh yeah, sorry. There are so many people. I think even sort of small and medium like YouTube channels or that see the likes of Jeremy Corbell and stuff like that, and that's where like Jeremy Corbell's got his issues, but that's why he gets so much vitriol thrown at him. Not because they disagree with him, because they want to be him. They want to be where he is, and they feel they have the right to be where he is because they've been doing it longer.
I mean, I get that sentiment from some creators, but this is what I was talking about earlier. There's a kind of a new wave of integrity-based ufology that's starting to spring up, where it's not about this jealousy factor. It's honestly just about, you said something that's not true. Will you please comment on it? Like, and that journalism, like, I mean, on Truth Seekers, we've broken news with that kind of stuff like many times. I mean, there's stories that I've worked on for like 6 months plus. Like, was the channel you were talking about before, where they were just having people on for discussions on? Was that the same channel they had Greer on? Where he was? Oh, Invisible Night School.
Yes, yeah.
Oh no.
Oh right, okay, sorry. I thought that was that because I did see that.
No, that was Kurt Jarmangle.
Yeah, I enjoy his stuff like a lot. He's got a very tidy. He's very tidy kitchen. I appreciate it.
He keeps his ear to the ground. I think
his kitchen's never used.
It's tidy. It's a tidy kitchen, and I appreciate it. I wish I could have a kitchen that tidy.
I don't think he's ever cooked anything in that kitchen.
I'm staring sadly at my kitchen side right now.
To be fair, actually saying that his flat does look an awful lot like the flat in American Psycho, doesn't it?
Lee, we want to get him on at some point. You called him a killer.
No, I didn't say he killed. I just said he has the potential to kill. That's different.
Actually, being a psychopath doesn't necessarily mean you're a killer.
No, you could just be really good at your job, but you still have the potential to kill. Politicians kill people all the fucking time. They kill more people.
Yes, they do.
That's not a good thing.
Jen, not another soldiers, but I think is Jen talking about the.
I think she's
I didn't. She said didn't answer the question. Soldiers put their reputations on the line. They did, but that wasn't Greer. That was them. Like I don't look at them as being some big entity. I see them as individual humans with individual experiences that shared those experiences. Take each one as an individual case, not as a like Stephen Greer thing. Yes, it was his event. He put it on. He networked to get all the former congressmen there. All of that's valid. He did that. But the stories, they're not his, so that I don't see them as having anything to do with him, other than he paid money to put them on the stage.
The loose thing to say would be that if you put Download Festival on, doesn't mean that you were sat in a room with architects writing the songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Good band choice.
Good. Love a bit of architects.
Holocrown. I love that album.
I'm gonna have to listen. I've not listened.
Oh, great band.
You've never listened to Architects?
No.
It was sad when Dan died. It was very sad. But... Are you guys fans of Enter Shikari?
Yes.
Lee's your big music man.
Yeah, I love everything. loads of stuff.
Hence his
Good
drums behind him.
Oh yeah. No, I hadn't noticed until right now. I have an 8-string guitar just there.
Oh, nice.
Bow, bow, bow.
So, Spooky, you do me a favor in the private chat. Have you got your channel link? Because I wasn't aware.
I also have a secret channel called Spooky Speaks.
Send them so I can link them in the description, and they'll probably be linked in the next 30 minutes because I didn't realize you were coming on, and I didn't realize you had a channel. I've seen you on other channels, but I didn't realize you had your own.
I mean, I'm lazy with it because I'm so busy. Like I have, like, outside of all of this ufology stuff, which occupies a lot of my time, I have
like me and Lee,
career and a life.
Yes, yeah, me too.
You know, like I work for a weather company, so it's a lot of stuff.
Oh, so you're a weatherman.
I am.
It's quite fitting.
So his
weather, UFOs, it's great.
I know the forces of nature. So we were the first people in history to stream live video from a hurricane. Like we revolutionized that technology, and now we get all of the other weather data, and we stream that live to the internet. We're in business with the Weather Channel, Fox Weather. Very, very cool stuff. Like when you get in the middle of a hurricane impact, if you go to the Weather Channel or now Fox Weather, our new affiliate, you will inevitably see one of our cameras going out to millions of people. That's what we do. It's very, very, very cool. I could probably show you guys some videos if you want. Like it's pretty wild what we do. Like we put cameras in places where people should not be. So we've got impacts of category 4 or 5 hurricanes right on the ocean front where it's just like, wow. This is the footage that gets into like National Geographic.
Between the X-Files and Twister, 1996 really did a number on you, didn't it?
How did you guess that was the movie? How did you? Here's really what's really cool. I have an IMDb page because I was involved in the early production of like what has now become the sequel. Which is pretty cool. Like it started as a fan project, and then Universal Studios were like, "We love your idea, but like we're the ones that want to do it." So they took the title, and the title and the plot. We don't get any credit. Like the only credit on my IMDb is for the fan-made thing that we were doing. But when that got announced last year, everybody was sharing a poster, which was the poster for our project, and that got shared to like millions of people. And I was like, I remember color grading that poster a decade ago. What the fuck? Like it's out of nowhere. But yeah, that's what I do for a job, and it's in the off season right now, thank God. Which it means I have way more time for the things that I'm doing. Like the next 3 months of my life, without getting into too much detail, are going to be absolutely mental.
Do you see this being something that you're going to get into in terms of like a career in a good way? Because I honestly think Steve makes more than I do on and Lee does on YouTube.
Right.
He doesn't make a lot more.
His OnlyFans shit.
Because I've seen him naked. I've seen him naked. Yeah. But
me and Steven split it, so
like me and Lee split it. Like what it pays. It pays for software. It pays for your Photoshop. It pays for your StreamYard if you use StreamYard, the full premium thing. Do you see yourself going in this? I know I would love to do it, and I know Lee would love to do it at some point. But does there become a point where how do you get to that point where you decide I can go with the money and I can fuck off half of my subscribers?
I think you got to take less. I think if you want to do this properly as a career, I think you've got to get to the point where you can just pay your bills and just get everything done, except less money than you're earning from boring, flashy work. But in that time that you're not doing boring, flashy work, you can put more time into YouTube stuff and more time into content creation. I think that's the thing. I like you've got kids, Ollie. I've got a 5-year-old son. It's tricky. As you got 4-year-old daughter, it's tricky, isn't it? Like having doing that balance.
Work-life balance is key. I mean, I meditate a lot to kind of center myself because it's hard. Like especially wearing so many hats. I weaponize my ADD in order to be effective, but
Why not?
It can be really hard to find that centering. Like, it's been the last year I found a really good kind of mode that I've been I've just been on this kind of, that was weird. It was strange. It's the first time using the iPad, so it's been this really nice flow. Everything seems to be coming together, and the fruits of years of work on certain stories is coming to fruition, which is amazing. Makes you actually feel like a journalist when you break stories. Like, I don't know, my first story was the Corey Good Bill Ryan Western Union receipt thing. I spent 6 months on that story, and I nailed it. I was like, yes, I am now a journalist. News has been broken. It was fun. That was like 2 years ago, but I'd been working on it for like 6 months, like 2.5 years.
No, seriously.
Seriously.
You can tell. So I heard about you, I think.
Is it when I got into a fight with you know who?
When you got into a fight with Rich, I saw your video did about Rich. Now,
I made that in an hour.
Yeah,
it was so easy.
I'm me and Rich have fallen out. Like
again,
we have, well, we never really fell out before. I have nothing against Rich, and I will say this: some of the stuff that has been said about Rich in the past and what he's like is just because that's his generation. That's who he is. He's not a nasty person, but
he's fully entitled to freedom of speech within the YouTube guidelines that he regularly breaks. But he's not free from consequence, from judgment by the people around him and people in the community. There's a reason why he hitches his wagon to other people who are okay with him being a piece of shit.
I don't think he's a piece of shit.
I get.
He literally called some of my best friends fat fucking whores on the air, and it was like, you know what, dude, fuck you. Like, I have no fucking time for you. He doesn't know these people, and he passes judgment on their bodies because he's an insecure fucking 55-year-old man. Like, fuck off. Why have I got time for that?
He's a commentator, but I mean, I
commentating on what? Someone's body?
Well,
like,
so this is the
Rich
thing.
Rich fell out with me for telling him that.
Sorry, carry on. I was going to say, don't forget. No, it's cool.
Rich really does get my goat because he, like, I don't know how anyone could defend him with the literally hours of things that he has said. There's always a commentator.
I've said
like,
much
okay,
worse than Rich. I've said much worse than Rich.
But do you own it though, right?
Of course, but
exactly.
But I think Rich does as well. It's a bit.
You confront him, like, every time I've ever confronted him with something that he said, he has flat out denied it, even though there's video evidence of him saying it. So it's like, it's not a case of
that's not ideal
owning it. You know, it's
I always look at it as, I mean, if I would say, if I think Rich is guilty of anything, it's maybe becoming the gimmick. You know, at some point, Terry Bowler stopped being Terry Bowler when he became Hulk Hogan and stayed Hulk Hogan.
That's true.
And I think that's Rich might
I get having a persona, but
there
needs to be consequences when someone crosses a line. Like, what's the point of having these guidelines?
But isn't the
standards if he's
but the guidelines? This is I hate YouTube policies. I think everything should be.
I think they're way too strict. But it's more crossing the lines of like human decency. Like, regularly talking about people's wives and insinuating that they cheat on their wives and.
Okay,
why?
So
why do we allow this?
You saw the tweet about my wife.
Oh no, I'm talking about someone else. But
okay, so when me and Rich fell out, he did.
Oh, this seems to be a regular thing then. That he accuses people that he falls out with of cheating on their wife. He doesn't seem to realize that this could have actual professional ramifications.
Oh no! He was right. I did.
Yeah.
I did. But she wasn't my wife. It was when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and I told him about that. And he
weaponized it, right?
He weaponized it. He did. I know Rich, and he's.
You know he did. He weaponized your promiscuity.
Yeah. I was a twat. I was a young twat, and I did.
I mean, cheating's bad. That's just agree. But you were young, right? Like, shit happens when you're young, man.
Jen, I appreciate the super chat, but we've probably not we've gone for 2 hours. We're probably not going to have chance to. And also, I can't remember, if I'm honest. Spooky will know. Spooky probably will know everything.
I mean,
about these
again, I like some of them. I like the FAA guy. Some of them don't seem believable, like Clifford Stone. Not really a fan. Robert Salas, again, he's coming up again recently with all this congressional stuff. I don't know how trustworthy a lot of these people are. I listen to their stories, but again, it's about individual cases, judging them on the merits of the individual person speaking and their history. Like, this isn't just someone told me something, therefore I must believe it or disbelieve it. I add it to the pile of information that I have to sift through and look into, because it's not just about one answer. Like, each one of those stories is a jigsaw piece in a puzzle that we don't have the picture for. So we don't even know what we're building.
I would agree. I don't think anybody has a clue. I honestly don't think anybody
this
has
is why
a
there's
clue.
so much splintering, because everyone thinks that their idea of having a clue is the right one, when, like I said, I think it's something much broader and intrinsic to human experience, because this has gone back to shamanistic times, these kind of otherworldly experiences using psychedelics. Like, aside from UFOs, I'm very much into like psychedelic culture and meditation, and it's all it all ties
I actually
into
think
one,
that's probably the best that's probably the best tool we have to understand this sort of stuff, to be perfectly honest.
Absolutely. It's a technology that is a good. I'm always recommending books. This is what I do. So there's a good book out at the moment. It just came out. It's Andrew Gallimore's second book, where he talks about DMT as a kind of tool to explore with your consciousness, but it gets down to like the molecular level kind of thing, and it's Andrew Gallimore is leading the wave of that school of thought and really pushing the frontier with DMT and how we can use that to access other, dare I say, dimensions. I don't know how you describe them, but there's other places that you can access through this.
It's whether you say
technology.
dimensions, realms, you're always going to sound a bit out there, you know. But it's it's because when you talk about
the
something,
DMT law, though, that you go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that it's I know I briefly spoke about it before. The first time I ever took mushrooms, I was with people that had done them a lot before. I'm sorry to anyone that's watching that's already heard this story. I was with people that took them like a lot before for me. I was just 19 and didn't really know what was going on. They just dried them out. We didn't have them in tea or anything like that. And the thing is, I fucking love mushrooms. Just in general, I love mushrooms. So they'd all started to come up. I sat there eating these things like motherfucking popcorn. And I mean like fucking pinches and pinches, just throwing them in. And then I knew something was going on when the wallpaper started moving. And then we went for a walk, and the vivid parts of the evening, I remember we were walking past a gorse bush, and like the yellow buds on the gorse glowed like you know how you see slow motion photography on motorways, where you see the brake, the tail lights.
Oh yeah.
So
that's the low lens shutter
low shutter speed thing. That was happening with the gorse, but the gorse was glowing yellow, and everything else was dark because it was like fucking 2:00 in the morning. But these things were like glowing. I remember thinking to myself, like, well, that's really weird, because I know I'm on something, but light, you need light to see color, otherwise color doesn't work. But these are bright yellow. Anyway, ended up, long story short, the meat and potatoes of it is I felt like I was feeling sick. And I remember putting my hand on my friend's shoulder and said, like, I'm not well here. I threw up everywhere. And then, like some sort of fucking Tim Burton film, we were in a hedge, and the branches of the tree just sort of grew over me into an arch. And I lay down on the floor, and I tripped out for about half an hour.
Nice.
And I felt this, I felt I was floating on water, and I remember putting my hand down, and my hand wasn't wet, because the first thing I thought was I didn't want to have pissed myself in front of my friends. But I was floating.
Common
and then all of a sudden I realized that there was no me there, and I had that feeling of like rushing forwards, and then I was in space, and that's when I was surrounded by these black entities, and I've always described them as being like Batman without the ears. So it was like big shoulders that sort of tapered down, and they stood around me in a circle, and they stayed there, and they didn't communicate with me, but I could feel their emotion. Like I felt they pitied me, and they looked at me like I was a child, and they made me feel like I was somewhere I shouldn't be and I wasn't ready to be there. And they just stayed around me until I woke up. And then I woke up. We walked down I remember my friend was half carrying me. I remember saying, no, so I can walk properly now. And do you watch the TT at all?
The motocross.
No, for TT, Isle of Man TT, yeah.
I've seen clips on the internet.
Oh no! So if you don't know the course, it doesn't matter.
They shut off all the streets on the island, right, and turn it into like a
where
you go like 200 miles an hour down country lanes, and it just seems like the most suicidal idea in the world.
Yeah,
right.
It's amazing. Where we were walking up when you come off the mountain. Essentially, that's where we were. And I remember coming out from this sort of country lane to where the sort of it opens up, so you've not got hedges and stuff around you, and the whole sky was like a purple peacock sort of design, and I've never felt so relieved. Like because there'd been so many stressful moments on the way there, and then all of a sudden when I got out into open space, everything else was fine, and that was the weird thing. It was because like I say, it was dead early in the morning, but the peacock sky was illuminating the road. It was like a purple daylight sort of thing, and it took me, I think, I mean, what, I'd have been 19, 20, I think. I didn't take psychedelics for years after that, and it was only when I started getting interested in this sort of stuff and started getting interested more in consciousness. I read the DMT spirit molecule and suddenly realized that in those experiments that lots of like the bits that tied up for them, the key parts which were similar between their trips, I had those key things that were going through mine as well. Well, that's weird. And that thing, which you could go back and look at every single podcast I've talked about this, and I will have said the same story exactly the same way, because I can't think of another long-term memory which has stuck with me so vividly as those things. And it took me years to come around to the idea that it was something happened there that it's more than just like taking drugs and drugs doing strange things with your brain. You know, there's something extra there.
Right, it's an activation of sorts. But your experience of kind of being watched over, I relate to that really hard. I've had that happen a few times, where it's this kind of, it's happened in different ways. Like I've had it where I have just been like kind of catatonic and, you shouldn't be here. But then I've also had it where it's like I get out there and then something will bring me back like, you shouldn't be out here.
Yeah.
But it's that non-local communication that you were talking about, the sharing of emotion, because like in that space you don't have words, you don't have a physical way to make words, so it's empathy. Empathy is the communication. So yeah, I get that.
I think it's the only I think the only thing I can put close to it for anyone that hasn't been in that situation is it's the feeling, I think, that when you have a kid, when you've got a baby, that's that from there's unconditional love there with a child. Like it starts like your child starts at a point of unconditional love. If you fuck that up, that's on you, I'm afraid.
Right.
But and that's the closest thing I can sort of line that up with.
The birth of my daughter was very akin to a psychedelic experience. It was 3 days of labor, and then a very intense last hour, and then it almost felt like kind of like a dissociative DMT-esque trauma when she was born, because everything just like I couldn't feel my hands, and then I was like, just the whole room is just like pulsing, and it's just like it was
energy, man.
I felt like that sense of survival that I had for myself, it extended beyond myself, and that's parenthood.
Yeah,
I wasn't the one giving birth to the child. I didn't carry the child, my daughter, but it was that process of, because I'm a visual person too, is I had to see her. I felt her like, in the belly and whatever, but like seeing her and having this like explosion of like even more love was a very like love is a powerful psychedelic, man.
Yeah, just straight. It's and even that. I mean, what we can break this down to it could be like an animal thing where, because we're supposed to, obviously if we don't love our children, we don't protect them, then the human race dies within a generation. It doesn't get off the ground.
It's up to us.
Yeah. Or is it something else? Like, is there, because there's something different. It's we all like, I'm a very like pick up and put down sort of person. I will get something and I will be like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to the world. And then 6 months down the line, I'll be like, nah, do you know what? I need something new now.
Like your Steam Deck you told me to buy, and then you've got to sold yours, you bastard.
You still love it, don't you? You still love it.
For now, but you've not got one anymore.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, I couldn't play Hogwarts on it. I wanted to play Hogwarts on it. Hogwarts was shit on it, so I'm playing Hogwarts on my Xbox. You derailed, like I was having like a fucking deep conversation there about fucking fatherhood, like losing our egos and multi-dimensional fucking beings, and you're upset because I sold a fucking Steam Deck and you still got one. First world problems, Oliver.
You told me to buy it.
Yeah, and you like it. I was still right.
Ufology, everyone.
Thank you.
So fatherhood. It's wild, right? I'll go home now. It's fine. I'm gonna go write my book now. Write my memoirs and go retire in the Andes. It's okay. Oh. I did the work.
I have to agree, for somebody who's probably an emotionless bastard, which I am, both times with both my boys, floods of tears. And the only other time that I felt something kind of similar was, and I told you this the other night, Lee, but I'd already told David, and you was pissed off because you said, well, why has he not told me about his shadow figure? Is the time when I got up out of bed and there was something at the edge of the bed. My wife was freaked out because I was just literally apparently, excuse him, wow.
Okay, Morty.
Naughty wine. Apparently I was like literally like straight up just staring to the corner of the bed. And I can remember this. There was something there on the edge of the bed. And it felt like the most... What's that say?
Mushrooms and bad, okay? God dang it, Bobby. I'm
gonna give Q a kiss for that. There you go. Love Q. It felt like the. It felt like the. I've never done mushrooms.
We got to
Well,
crack
Q,
open that
Q,
mind,
Q.
Q.
Hey, Q's been Q longer than Q's been Q, if you know what I mean.
I know who Q was.
He's a good lad. I felt like this was...
So just quickly, I'd like to know that. Well, give us a name then. Who do you think that was?
It was Ron Watkins.
Ron Watkins. I've no idea.
Monkey Z. So there's a documentary filmmaker called Colin Hoback who works for HBO. He, during the whole Q thing that was going on, he was on the ground covering kind of in verte reality documentary gonzo stuff, the people surrounding the website that was hosting Q. And he basically got the owner's son to admit that he was Q on film.
Well, right, okay.
At the end of the series, which was like, whoa, holy shit.
Send me
It obviously wasn't.
I
It's
need to
it's
see
on HBO. It's called Q Into the Storm. Really, really good documentary. Colin is a bro. So it wasn't just Ron. There was a network, and it's interesting how much that grift network from on that alt-right new agey disclosure is coming meme side that has existed since Nasara in the mid-90s. How much that plugged into the same world that Corey Good and David Wilcock and all that were already existing in, and then they pivoted all of their grift to go with this bigger wave, which was QAnon. And they plugged in and they start doing this thing, and then Edge of Wonder comes out and it's the bridge between the whole thing.
I'm a fan of Edge of Wonder.
Why?
I like them. I was.
I got featured on Edge of Wonder once, and that's how I left the cult.
But no, I do. I quite liked Edge of Wonder. I listen to the new stuff. See, I think the Q stuff. See, I'm very much of the one of the people that think that maybe the left and right have swapped at some point. I find the left more extreme than the right now, and
I think they're both extreme. I think there's extremists on both sides.
I think there are extremists. There are extremes on both sides. The difference is, I think, on day-to-day living on the Isle of Man or in the United Kingdom, I know far too many far leftists. I know no far right people. And I think that's what I find dangerous is that the far left is accepted. Like we know the far right's bad. We know that to be racist is horrible and to do that. But the far left stuff is essentially promoted.
We don't treat the extremism on the left as the same as the right, because we're taught from an early age that Nazism and fascism, we've seen the negative consequence of that and how many people died, but no one ever talks about like the other side, like the Russian gulags.
No.
The revolution and stuff. Like nobody talks about that because it's I guess they don't want to give an unbiased view for whatever their purpose is. But I've thought about that a lot, as how the difference in reaction from people from similar actions, but on diametrically opposing sides.
Yeah, it's strange. Strange.
Mostly peaceful protest.
Yeah, exactly. See, but that's the thing. I think the Q in the early 2000s would have been Zeitgeist. That was that was
Dylan Avery. Right.
It was the same. It was the same push essentially. But the difference was Zeitgeist was a very, very left wing thing back then. And to be. I mean, I
was riding the wave of anti-war sentiment. At the time
and anti-war, anti-government. Now it's the right which is anti-war and anti-government, where the left is very much let's send nukes to the Ukraine people. Come on.
Do you want to know something interesting about Edge of Wonder?
Mm-hmm.
So they were set up by the Epoch Times, who are owned by New Tang Dynasty, which is a Chinese media organization that puts on like theater productions and stuff like that. They are owned by the Chinese cult Falun Gong, which at its core, like the top belief is a billionaire that basically has a Corey Good story. That's why they had such a vested interest. I've actually wondered if they were like some kind of arm of Chinese intelligence to have an arm in the United States ufology movement. Because for what they popped up out of nowhere with huge production value. Suddenly we're getting 100,000 hits within like a couple of weeks. You know, they're very strange people, and I've seen like that group of people go out to ufology conferences in China and interfacing with a lot of people in suits, and it's a wild world out there.
It is a wild world. Like I got into
it's a mad world. It's a mad world.
Thank you, Spooky.
It's bringing it back around.
I'd say I don't want to say I believe wholesale, because I don't really believe anything wholesale. But let's say the meat and potatoes of the Q stuff being the trying to say this and stuff that won't get all these channels shut down.
Your channel as well.
Our channel.
Sealed envelopes.
He keeps forgetting that we've
sealed envelopes and basements. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the basement part, and not necessarily the pizza restaurant part.
I mean, a lot of that was Jack Posobiec.
Yeah, but the said drug that can be drained from those people, I believe that 100% is going on. Like 100%. There is no conspiracy that I believe more than that.
It's one of those ones that like I believed when I was younger, but then it's one that I have to step back from and go, is there any evidence that someone can show me that it's happening, or is it just uncorroborated stories? Yes, there's a lot of them, and it's been a kind of lore thing going back to folklore times, but and that's what leads me to go, okay, it's probably more real than something other stuff.
When you've got presidents in waiting, emails on WikiLeaks talking about sacrificing chickens to Moloch, and then you look at what a chicken would be in the FBI's own keywords. To me, I mean, you can have chatter about things, but those hit points, you go, that's fucking bleak. And you know what? I would rather believe that's real, because to ignore it and it be real is far more dangerous than actually like thinking about it.
I mean, people thinking it's real and acting on that belief. I mean, there was a guy that went into that particular restaurant with
I genuinely that, yeah, but man, come, like the
I mean,
story was
that one incident is used as an example to paint the entire
and the bullet ricocheted off 3 walls and went straight into the hard drive of a computer. I'm not buying this.
It was Lee Harvey Oswald.
No, but don't get me wrong. Someone went in. Do you know what I mean? But there was, if I was a conspiracy theorist,
you know,
I would think
your tinfoil was showing there a little bit. But
yeah, if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would think that the breaded cheese garden fence was was propagated to ridicule the bits of the story that are real.
It's an interesting observation, because the guy that kind of broke that story super viral was Jack Posobiec, who went into the restaurant and started streaming, talking about it. He's an ex-Navy intelligence officer.
It's always ex-intelligence people, isn't it?
It is. Funny that, right? Almost like there is no such thing as an ex-intelligence officer.
Yeah, it's once you're part of the company, you're part of the company.
You do as we say, we send you to the farm for 10 years.
Boys, we've gone for 2 hours.
Wow.
Almost 30 minutes. I think this is the longest show we've done in quite some time.
I have the ability to just talk forever and ever and ever. So if you need to end the show, then
hey, Spooky,
we do a plug and get out.
You are more than welcome back on, my friend.
Absolutely.
More than welcome.
I'll have to get you on an episode of Totty Wabba sometime.
Yeah,
because we alternate, but hey.
It'd be cool to get you on Sunday on my show as well, because it's cool. less aliens and more just about stuff.
Cool. Yeah. Hit me up sometime. Do you have me on the twit?
Yeah. Cool.
Can I do a quick plug?
Yeah,
of course you can. Get plugging, and also send me the link in the.
It's not a butt plug.
I put both of them in there. I put Totty Wabba and my Spooky Speaks channel.
Let me put them in the private. Let me put them in the stream. And also, let me put them in the description.
So that one time I was abducted by aliens is it's a multiverse channel. We have a few different shows. We have one on cryptids every Tuesday, every alternating Thursday. Like 1 week we have Super Serious Science Show, which is a rebrand of our UFO show called Butt Stuff. I don't know if you ever saw that floating around.
I've seen that floating around. Yeah.
So that was us. That started as a joke, but then we were like, we should probably rebrand it because it's like we get an audience, and with everything coming up, we can't be called Butt Stuff. And then the other alternating week, which is this coming week, which I guess is going to be Leah Prime from Invisible Night School, one of my favorite people in the universe. It's called Uninformed, which is just a random topic show. We put like 50 spicy ass topics into a bucket, and then we just pick one out and then talk about it. And we don't do any prep, and it's spicy. The first show, abortion, came up, which was spicy because we've got like an anarchist leftist, a moderate post leftist in me. We've got a centrist Republican and a ex-military farm Republican. So it was pretty spicy. So if you want to hear people that like
that sounds amazing,
interact, and you probably think that we all hate each other, but we're actually like a little family. If you want to see like hilarity, click the link to That One Time I Was Abducted by Aliens. If you want to buy this awesome shirt that I'm wearing that says I hate it here, you can buy that on our website, thatonetimeIwasabductedbyaliens.com, I think /store or shop or something. And then the other link is my Spooky Speaks channel, which is my like abandonware channel Easter egg in the internet, where if I get really pissed off one morning and I make a video, that's where I put it. I've done one on post ufology in the post-truth world, which is my personal favorite of the ones I've done. I did one on Rich, which we mentioned earlier, and I have another one in the works, which is on the back burner, about cycles in ufology, using examples of like the Phoenix Lights and how that becomes relevant again 25 years later. It's this 20-year loop. That's a big like opus that I'm kind of working on in the background. I have many irons in the fire, which is cool. But
I was only thinking about what Phoenix Lights the other day, and I was thinking to myself, I know it's not like now where you've got. I think maybe it's because I've gone full circle. I've so much strange stuff's gone in. I've got no doubt left in me. But in the same respect, I now don't trust anything.
It's the best way to be.
And the more I thought about the Phoenix Lights, even though there wasn't like loads of mobile phones and stuff around there, like camcorders, like VCRs, still a motherfucking big thing at that point. Like probably the height of VCRs, and we've only got that one video from the top of a hill of the lights blinking on.
Interesting, right?
That's really weird, isn't it?
A lot of people would have had camcorders.
I do like there's quite a few videos I've seen from like the early 90s on camcorders that I think are probably more legitimate than a lot of the things we see now. Like on the UFO show that we do, we see, I know we're supposed to be ending the show, but on the UFO show that we see like hundreds of videos over the course of a year on that show, and most of them are identifiable or made with an app.
Yeah.
So cameras have got good, but they've also got bad because there's software that goes with the camera that can manipulate what the audience is seeing. So it's a lot of discernment, and this is one thing we try to do on that show is teach people how to spot the fakes. Like we'll pause it, I'll do like I'll screenshot it and do like photo analysis or whatever, or we'll look at like the movement and how the frame rate doesn't match everything else going on. It's like actual photogrammetry work and teaching people critical thinking at the same time, which is kind of the ethos behind what we do. Is like we have a lot of fun, but we take it really seriously at the same time, which is a really hard balance sometimes. Sometimes we all have ADD, so like sometimes it's just a load of memes with a couple of videos, but like other times it's like we go for 2.5 hours and we have a super deep discussion, not unlike tonight. So
yeah, it's really
I love doing that show. Did you happen to catch the Golden Probes?
No.
So but that sounds like a great porno.
Yeah, it's our yearly award show. We've done it the last 2 years, where it's basically our roast of ufology that we do every year.
Yeah,
like we had Lou from UCR as our like step-in host this year. Do you guys want to see the intro?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me get it up. Oh, that's what she said.
Got to get it up before you probe.
The Golden Probes.
I'm getting lost in YouTube now. Too many tabs. Here we go.
Lost in YouTube.
That one time I was
Caught
abducted
in
by
a trap.
aliens. I'm just gonna play it from the live stream because
He's
I
lost
don't
in
want to dig
YouTube.
out the file right now. But so I spent a good like month editing this. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, my iPad's in the way. Share screen. Chrome tab. There we go. Whew. Let me know when it's sharing because I cannot see.
Got that.
Yep.
Cool.
You do realize it's not going to be real Golden Globes without satanic imagery.
I know, right? I was too busy laughing.
Show me his real job.
Was that Stephen Greer?
Yep.
I'm not a UFO guy. I'm not a ufologist. I never have been. I never will be. Waiting with your leather jacket.
It's hostile, Kurt. Why would you do this?
Unbelievable. It's what I think of the disclosure clock right now.
Sorry things off Jim's ball.
Decker 97.
Where the hell
I
are we?
love the xenomorph.
Take it easy, dude. But take it.
I'm not a UFO guy. I'm not a ufologist. I never have been. I never will be.
I'm
That's
fan.
bloody brilliant. My only
That was fun to
concern
me.
there is you haven't got two little ginger twats waiting for the train.
I didn't know your beautiful souls at that point in time.
We could have been like the Weasleys waiting for the Potter train.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
know?
It writes itself.
Next year as well. This year, we start writing it about 6 months before, so maybe we're getting there.
And I will apologise for StreamYard because unfortunately StreamYard doesn't stream the audio that the greatness that the audio is because I don't know why.
There was no audio with that.
No, it
We
was.
did the audio.
It was just compressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
StreamYard
Yeah.
compresses the audio. I don't know why. but that was really well done, my
Thank
friend.
you.
Which is really
That's
weird because it
took a
does
while to do.
like vocal audio really well. But
Well, hey, actually, in that same thing, I mean, it's public, so technically I can't talk about it, but I can't talk about it. So like, I can't give details, but I'm working on a documentary series or film, and I did put a trailer in that show. I debuted a trailer that is out there. I suppose I could play it, but I can't talk about anything to do with it
Go on,
in
show us a
terms
nipple.
of detail.
Give us a nipple. Just
All right.
one nipple.
All right, let me find it. In fact, I've got a I don't need to do it that way. I've got a copy on my desktop. Technology, everybody. I'm gonna scroll down all of these videos. that I've
Also,
got
if you
on
play it
here.
on the desktop, it'll be.
yeah.
No, I mean I can upload the file here into
Oh, there we go.
StreamYard, the raw file. So
No, I did not know. I think of myself as someone who keeps reasonably up to date with the news and current events. I did not know
dislike her.
that aliens did 9/11. I had no idea.
The main message from the ETs are for us to prepare ourselves.
Right now, and I mean this, I want to introduce my good friend to you.
Is this a sign? I want to welcome you to an idea. I want you to give this idea a habitat in your mind.
Going live.
I just realized how much
The
he
ants
sounds.
are
Like
creations. Not my question.
How's it going?
Good.
So you're saying David Wilcock made 4 or 5 million off one course?
Courage to actually commit to creating a business seated in higher consciousness of all things.
Well, interestingly enough, it wasn't even on my radar a year ago.
I want to say thank you.
Like what are the next conferences that you're going to be going to?
ESETI Ranch, and you can go there, and then in August I will actually be attending and speaking at what's called the Eclipse of Disclosure Summit in Mount Shasta.
He's using a full fake persona.
Corey is a spiritual fraud.
Love you, Bill.
We want you.
Please.
What are the lies that my client put out there? Let's go through that.
This feels like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard. I would be Johnny Depp.
What would happen if all of this turns out to be true? Well, we will soon find out.
What does it matter if it's real or not?
I'm very much looking forward to that thing.
That is exciting. That's a great trailer as well.
Thank you.
I
just realized
talk about anything,
not
but
Johnny Depp.
I just
know,
realized
right?
how much Wilcox sounds like Jordan Peterson.
I know, right? Clean up your room. To be fair, I have a Jordan Peterson poster right there.
I'm a fan of Jordan Peterson. Not
I
Wilcox.
was a fan, and he's kind of gone off the deep end recently. But
I know
I'm a fan of his psychological talks.
Version.
His talks on the biblical stories I thought were fantastic.
Yeah,
but his cultural commentary, oh god, dude. But someone in the
fan of
chat
his
is saying this is giving me vibes of Cosmic Judas. I can neither confirm nor deny that I am Cosmic Judas. Seems to be a running thing where people think that I might be this person, and I'm not going to confirm or deny it because the style is very similar, right? It's very similar. Cosmic Judas is a meme account on the Twitter that posts a lot of funny videos. I wonder who has enough time to edit all those videos.
Would you recommend it
not
worth a follow?
Worth a follow, but again, maybe it's not me. Maybe I know who it is, but
would you recommend it?
Oh, absolutely. The memes are fresh. There's also a Cosmic Dal. I think that might be UFO Judas. They keep changing their name, or I keep changing their name. I don't know. Sometimes I dissociate, and sometimes there's art. I don't know. But what's that? Remember Art Bell in real time covering the Phoenix Lights? I actually sourced that radio recording for the video I'm working on. That's a very good. I listen to a lot of Coast to Coast, but that was.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying that nothing happened there, but I'm just saying, isn't it weird how we haven't got like that was a mass UFO site, and we refer to it as a mass UFO site. And so where's the mass evidence for it?
Yeah, it's strange that there wasn't more video.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it was there for a while. I don't know why news cameras didn't go, hey, what the fuck is that? Because they've got way better glassware to be able to see things. I mean, they could have maybe they looked at it and it was flares, but then the call came down from the governor's office, like, no, we're going to play this as UFO for money for tourism. So
do you know Mike? Apparently, Mike Rogers was there.
I haven't heard that. I know Kurt Russell. He was the guy, he phoned it into the FAA because he was flying over Phoenix at the time.
But isn't that weird as well?
That is another weird connection.
Yeah. So I bet if you dig deep enough in Kurt Russell, like his fucking dad worked for the CIA or something now. I found that so weird because we had him on the show, didn't we?
We've had Mike Rogers on about 3 times now.
Yeah.
He wants to come on again. He loves us.
Nice guy. I like him. You know, he's a good guy. I don't have any grandparents. He gives me that sort of in the same way as I like.
He knows our feeling on the Travis thing as well. We've been
the Travis Walton thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, off and on. Should I say off and on?
Wait, is Mike Rogers the guy that changed the story and then got paid money and changed the story back?
Mike Rogers is the boss. Mike Rogers is, in the Fire in the Sky film, Mike Rogers is the
right.
Yes. So Mike's
if anything, I find Mike more credible because he's been less monetarily compensated for it, and it's even to the point where I actually think if he wanted to make money, he could make money coming out going,
We tried to get him to say it was shit, bullshit. Yeah, we tried to get Mike Rogers.
I might have even insinuated that it might have been like financially beneficial for him to be on that side of the fence, but no, he
doesn't like Travis.
He doesn't like Travis, and he still sticks with the story and backs it up. Weird.
I mean, I'm not going to say that it didn't happen. I think there's a lot of inconsistencies with the whole Fire Watchtower.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not been a case I've been too invested in because I saw Fire in the Sky, and
which is nothing.
It was all. Yeah, it was. Now I look into the story, and it's like it's just never grabbed me. It doesn't have that factor to it that makes me go, that's something that feels like an integral part to the puzzle. Someone in the chat is asking how I feel about Lou Elizondo, and I just say, who? I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know you.
I want to ask you a question about another Lou, because it's another it's something Ollie have mentioned before. You just said before that Lou from the Celebrity Review did the stand-in thing. Why do you think he shut his channel down?
Well, he rebranded it because he realized he was taken for a ride by the intelligence community. Like Lou and other people were pushing him to meet with other groups and little like bubbles of people. And
But would it not have made more sense for him to spin off another channel from that? Carry that channel on and leave that.
He's rebranded it. Yeah, he should have left the episodes up. To be fair, but
because it's just a passive income at that point. Because those little Elizondo episodes would have just continued to gather views and revenue.
But I guess for him, it was an integrity thing. Like he didn't even want to earn money off of it because he
was. I respect
he went
that.
Through the ring. He went through the ringer with it and really got vilified for coming to the conclusion that he was having a negative experience in associating with these people, and then he gets vilified by the group that's around Lou Elizondo. And cast out just simply because it wasn't even him. It was rather be Squidding that asked a question about the soccer accounts, and then it just
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's very very plain spoken. I enjoy his commentary quite a lot. We had him on the show one time. He's a very intelligent guy. We had him on the show one time, and it was one of those shows where our ADD was a little bit too much. I could tell, but I'd love to have him back on sometime. That'd be a cool conversation.
He's been on with us a couple of times, hasn't he, Ollie? I've enjoyed every show we've done with him.
He's an intelligent guy, but I can see he's very loyal to very loyal to Lou. Like you can see there's a good friendship there, and he's like,
they're a good team. They're doing a monthly UFO show still. Like they haven't completely given up. Him and Rather are doing it.
I know. I mean, you work with Steve. You work with Steven. Steven's had.
I work with a lot of people.
You work with a lot of people. Yeah. You work with us now. The Gingers. I'm fascinated by Lou, and so is Lee. We've had Lou on with Rich, and I
remember that episode.
I'll be perfectly honest. It was a fucking drama fest. That's what it was.
That's what's going to happen when you get two people that hate each other in a conversation. Like, I don't think there was any way out of that because Rich wasn't going to budge, and neither was Lou. So,
at the time, I didn't know enough about Lou, but now looking at Lou's channel and looking what that stood for, what happened with that channel is it fucking exploded. Lee pointed this out to me. I keep pointing over here. He's there. It's fucking odd. It's odd.
That's what happens when you tickle the intelligence community, and there we go. Now you're getting mixed up again.
It's odd.
Every time he had Lou on, or Lou and his dad, that you can look at it in the social blade. Like every time.
That's not what we find odd.
Okay.
What's odd is Lou could have easily made. We talk about Lou from the Unidentified Celebrity Review, not Lou Elizondo. Lou could have made a living off this. I don't know. I mean, Lou is an actor. I have no idea what I have no idea what he makes in acting money. I have an okay day job. It's decent. I make it a decent living for my family. I make fuck all on YouTube. Lou made a shitload on YouTube. Not only in chats, you could see it, but you could see his Patreon. It was fucking sky high. What makes him is either a fucking saint or something scared the shit out of him to make him.
I mean, can it be both? Can it just be something scared him and he is just genuinely like a person acting within integrity? I know I use that word a lot, but that's what it is. It's not capitulating to the gamified grift machine.
Did you see the Patreon?
Yeah, I remember when he went over it all live, and I was a little shocked, but it wasn't outside of the realm of like what I kind of saw for the size of his channel either. I was like, that's actually kind of in line. Like the weather work I do, I mean, we have like 50,000 subs and a Patreon with like 800, 900 members. So like in terms of scale, he wasn't earning a lot. I know he has to like pay for software,
difference with the weather
split the money
thing,
out. So.
But the difference I would think with the weather thing is that you're offering a service. Whereas
right, yeah, that is offering content. I mean, it's a different kind of content because ours is much more interactive because we have a community around it. But
and whereas I think that when you sub to something like a YouTube channel like Alien Addict, which you could do right now if you're in the comments and you feel inclined, you're supporting those people to continue to create more. That's the thing. You're not actually you're getting entertainment back from it, but there's nothing like physical and tangible that you're getting back from it. Whereas the weather thing, you're getting something like which has genuine real world value.
Right.
So I think that's slightly different.
Yeah, it is different in terms of its commodity trade, but in terms of just channel size compared to the money, it was kind of in line. It's about the same as if you look at like what Truth Seekers is with the Patreon and the members and stuff. It's about in line with it. There's a couple of questions for me in the chat, and I don't want to feel like I'm missing them. Someone asked, "Who's my main man, Tupa or Milk?" My main person is Leah Prime. Fight me. And
I don't know what that is.
Leah Prime is one of the hosts of Invisible Night School. She is awesome, and people in the know with the Tupa and Milk situation will get why I said that. And Kari, do I know Charlie? No. Do you mean Charlie Weiser? Because I kind of know Charlie Weiser. That's the only Charlie I can think of.
Yeah, I know Charlie Weiser, but do I know her?
I mean,
No
does
idea.
anyone really know her? I mean, it's okay. Why?
That
comment hurts my soul.
She's asked for information. I've given her information. We spoke.
Who's that?
Charlie Weiser is she's done
Australian ex-intelligence person who now does kind of freelance journalism in the space and uncovers truth. She did a lot of stuff on Anjali. She did
Travis Walton
and Moran Lerner. Have you ever heard of Moran Lerner? He was some kind of plasma guy lapping around, and then he hooked up with some other person that tried accusing half of ufology of being a cult.
Which is ex-Australian intelligence. Yeah. I've got a really good
Well, he's lovely. It's fine.
I've got a really good thing now. Is the
not the one she was referring to.
I won't say this on Ollie's channel, but given when you get people that come out
your channel,
whistleblower people, they're well, no, because if it gets struck, it's your channel. If it doesn't get struck, it's ours. I feel that how people positioned themselves on that bug that was going around for the last 2 years, I find that as a really good show of like genuine integrity. Because if you follow the narrative on that, then you're fucking dead to me.
I mean, I only got vaccinated recently because I have to travel.
Oh, well, yeah.
Like work has forced me, but no, I understand. Like for me, it was never really not within the time frame that I have to travel, which is annoying. I've been waiting, but it's fine. That first shot felt like shit for like a day, but then I'm fine. Obviously, there is the worry of having heart issues. but it's a risk. In order to do the things that I want to do, there is a degree of risk. So I just had to weigh that up with, do I want to not do the things that I have planned and take these steps in what I guess you would call a journalism career, or do I want to just finally give in, I guess?
I'm going to be very careful what I say here, but I am one uncle, one friend down.
Sorry to hear that, man.
As in gone, and a mother that can't walk properly anymore. That's my personal experience with it.
Jeez.
But that happened really quick.
The fact that they can push Russian roulette like that on people is pretty nuts.
Crazy. Crazy. But Ollie's getting anxious. So we'll wrap the show up.
And on that bombshell, this has been Top Gear.
You know what, Spooky? You definitely need to go on a Must See Audio.
Yeah, I think it's also for a man
show.
that says he doesn't speak very well. I think you've been fucking awesome.
Thank you. I feel like I've eased into it. I know. I think it's, to be honest, I don't really talk to a lot of other English people, so this is probably why it's been very easy to just talk to you guys.
Probably, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm talking
the Yankees love their fucking aliens. They really do.
Tell me about it, man.
Get your work cut out.
I know, I really do. The amount of people I interact with every day, it's can get a bit much. But thank you for having me this fine Friday evening. I think I might go watch some Top Gun movie now.
I'm gonna say Top Gear's not a thing anymore.
I know, it makes me sad. Grand Tour just wasn't as good, but yeah, whatever.
Hey,
what can you do?
I'm 40. I missed Top Gear with Tiff Nadell, where they used to just like review Ford Focuses.
I remember that.
I used to love Sunday afternoon watching that. Well, my dad made me tea.
For me, it would be after a roast dinner at my grandparents' house. Just lazing on the sofa like good time.
And yeah, we're gonna have to do more. I like to do on the Alien. Lee likes to do the one-on-ones. I like to do
three's the magic number. I think. I think three is the best amount for a podcast.
I like to start off with like a fucking orgy, and it ends with 3, maybe 2. Like
Ollie likes to start with loads and watch them tap out one by one.
Yeah, you know, if
I can stream you under the table, sir.
Yeah, it's not a competition; it's the same channel. But yeah, Lee, are you doing a show? I don't know if you're doing a show this Sunday or not.
I've no idea. I don't know who's on or anything like that. Maybe I've no idea. We'll sort it out tomorrow.
Maybe you should tap up Spooky, see if he's free this Sunday.
What am I doing this Sunday? I know there's a lot going on. You're lucky you got me tonight. Hit me up on the Twitter.
Yeah, if you
I suppose I should plug my Twitter. I'm not using. I've shut down social media like entirely other than YouTube. But at Fires of Truth is me. That's the account that you all know about. Yeah, that's me. That's what I'm
going to add you now.
Do it. I'll go in and I'll accept you. You'll be like my first new following forever.
I have a really.
I don't really post UFO stuff though. I post like psychedelic stuff.
I've got a really weird thing with Twitter.
You could talk about psychedelics. That'd be it.
Because
while doing them,
I
must see audio. There you go. Follower requests.
I'm stuck at about. It's always like 1,560 around that. Is it something like that? And that when I started doing the
Twitter, why? Technology. There we go. It's come up now. That was weird.
The 1,354. I'm always around that 1,300 and approaching 60.
55 now.
Then no. But if I approach 60, it will drop back down to low 50s, and it has done for 2 years. It's really weird.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
It was really because I don't use TikTok, and it was really weird because I opened a TikTok, and I hate doing it because I hate the short form video stuff. I talk too much for short form video, I got sort of 5,000 followers in about 48 hours on TikTok.
Wow.
And then there's just nothing on Twitter. And Twitter is what I use. I tweet like a beast every fucking.
Oh, I have 22,000 tweets on my account. I know what it's like.
But yeah,
it's a good conversation tool, but it can be very. It's the Wild West out there.
It's well, that's why I like it. I think it's the best crowdsourced news app. That's why I like it.
Oh, definitely. For real-time news, like for my weather stuff, I've been using Twitter since like 2008.
Yeah.
Like it's perfect for real-time. Like it's kind of a precursor to what I do in my actual work in terms of getting the real-time video and stuff streamed out to television networks. When you have a person going through a tornado or a hurricane and they can real-time provide information to emergency services about like their present location or stuff that's going on, any dangers in the water or around the structure or whatever, like that stuff is invaluable. And that's just the development of technology. So it's not always a bad thing. It's how people then gamify it. That's the problem. Because this technology, in terms of information sharing, is intrinsic to how we're going to develop into the future, which I think a lot actually has to. This information sharing has a lot to do with this Andrew Gallimore stuff.
Well,
did you try and click on that at the same time as me?
Yeah.
Literally, as that popped up, beautiful.
I have a game with my friends on there's a couple of us who've got like a little chat group, and whenever one of us sees a video or a pit or one of the like risky photographs Britney Spears posts on her Instagram account, we screenshot it and post it on the group with like just underneath it. So like
Spears watch
FBI TBB. Free Britney is the best Britney.
I agree. I'm glad she got out of that conservatorship. That was messed up.
Boys, 3 hours. We've hit 3 hours.
We did it.
3 hours.
3 hours.
Fucking
hit 3 hours.
Ollie's relationship with Rich has not gone well this evening because he's now an hour into Rich's show.
I'll be honest with you, I forgot about
Did I
did that on purpose.
Did I do that? Maybe I did.
You did that on purpose. Be honest.
I wasn't thinking about it till right now.
First time in Alien Addict history, Ollie has gone into Rich's show.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
This is the superior show, so
I always have respect for other channels, and I've always had respect for Rich's channel, but I have respect for every other channel if I know there's another channel at the same time. But I actually did forget tonight.
There's always going to be fucking overlap, isn't
He's
there?
on every night.
Yeah.
Like, is it really it's not like a TV channel, you know? Like
there you go.
You know, YouTube. Wow.
But Rich, if you do watch this, if you do get that Samsung S23, go for the 500 gig model. I did
get an iPhone like a real person.
Have you seen
how many fake videos can you fit on one of these devices? That's what I want to know.
Not a lot, because the S23, my wife's just got one, and
is that the foldy one?
No, that's the S23 Ultra. It's like it's got a pen in it and all that jazz. But the actual, the on system storage takes up 60 gig.
Jesus.
So like if you get like a phone that's 128 gig,
the internal operating system takes
the internal
up 60
operating, yeah. So
that is the worst coded thing ever. What?
Yeah, it is.
Jesus Christ,
it's insane. It's insane.
No goof on show tonight. We scared them off.
She got the 500 gig model for a reason.
Icons on the phone like 12K.
Screen looks amazing. Don't get me wrong, but its internal storage takes up 60 gig. I checked it.
That's ridiculous.
That's.
I mean, that's more than Windows.
Is it coming preloaded with like Call of Duty or something?
But Windows
it comes preloaded. It's
it?
got loads of stuff pre-ordered on it, preloaded on it. So, people in the chat, if you're going to get any of the Samsung S23 range,
Huawei,
60 gigs worth of shit on there. Yeah. Good night. God bless, folks. Mind the bugs don't bite. Check out Spooky. I have dropped the link in the chat. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again tonight, and I'm going to, as soon as this video is finished, I'm going to put it in the description, because he is one interesting man. So go check him out. Go support.
Invisible Night School. I'm going to get in trouble by the people on my channel going, why are you promoting someone else's channel? But fight me, bro. They're like,
hey, rise
the
and
best
tide,
show.
Rise and tide in all boats.
Damn right. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
Go subscribe to both them channels, people. And yeah, the link will be in the description for anybody watching afterwards.
Right.
Good night, God bless,
I hope
people.
to see some of you on Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Cryptid Corner on my channel. I'll see
what
you.
Time? What time?
Cryptid. It's a late one on Tuesday, so it's like 2:30 a.m. UK time.
I'll watch in the morning.
I'll watch it.
The Thursday shows at 10:30 and in the evening, so that's not too bad. But yeah, hope to see you all there. Good shows next week. We've got Changeling, however you say it, for Cryptid Corner, and then we've got Uninformed with special guest Leah Prime from Invisible Night School. So hope to see you all there. Keep it breezy.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate you.
Subscribe to Ollie too if you haven't.
Yes, if you've not subscribed already, and you
hit that like button, leave a comment. The best thing you can do is leave a comment.
There absolutely is, isn't there? There is fuckwits out
hit
there
that like.
Watch a 3-hour show and don't subscribe and don't like it.
Yeah, but they're watching because they hate it. They're looking for the name being mentioned in.
Did I just see Strange Recon in the chat?
Well, then I don't know.
Is there a Wild Jeff? I troll Jeff all the time.
Wild
Jeff. Last Halloween. I went.
All
as Jeff
Jeffs
from
are
Strange
wild.
Recon.
My middle name's Jeff.
I grew out my mustache just to troll Jeff for Halloween, and I just kept it.
That suit you, mate.
Thanks.
Right, people. Right. We're gonna bedash.
It's genuinely took 1 hour and 5 minutes to end this show.
Go on, Lee.
I feel like we honestly just could talk for ages. So let's just put a pin in it. I'll come back sometime soon, and we'll just carry on.
Awesome.
Me and Lee will go into a nice diatribe about psychedelics and fatherhood, and you'll come in with some.
Lee's gonna hit you for this Sunday.
Yeah. I'll give you a shout.
Hit me up about yeah. Let me know. I'll see what I'm doing.
People, if you want to support the show, you can go be a Patreon, or you can be a YouTube member, or just if things are just like or you can't be asked, just give it a thumbs up. It's free.
Yeah. If you don't do any of those three things, you're a cunt.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Or if you're cold, buy a t-shirt. Good night, God bless.
Peace.
Mind the bugs don't bite.
Oh.
We are Alien Addict, Musty Audio in the house. Go check out Spooky. Bye-bye.